Elon Musk's children follow 15 rules that most parents would consider harsh. No free meals, they earn them through challenges. Severely limited screen time when other kids scroll for hours. They're expected to fail at least 3 times before succeeding. They work on real problems instead of playing games. Sounds extreme, right? But these aren't rules about punishment. They're principles about capability, about raising kids who can build rockets, solve impossible problems, and change the world. When 12-year-old Maya Chen received a mysterious invitation to the academy, she had no idea these rules would transform her from a lonely, grieving girl into someone capable of finishing her dead father's dream. She didn't know that 6 weeks at a Texas ranch would teach her that comfort is the enemy of greatness, that failure is required for success, and that thinking about humanity's future matters more than her own happiness. This is the story of how those 15 strict rules changed everything. Not just for Maya, but for everyone whose life she would eventually touch. Maya Chen sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, surrounded by pieces of a broken radio she'd found in the trash 3 weeks ago. Her small hands held a screwdriver, carefully prying open the plastic casing to see what treasures hid inside. The afternoon sun streamed through her window in Hawthorne, California, casting long shadows across the scattered wires and circuit boards. "Maya, mail for you," her mother called from downstairs. Maya looked up, confused. Nobody sent her mail. She was 12 years old. The only mail she ever got was birthday cards from her grandmother in San Francisco, and her birthday wasn't until October. It was only June. She set down the screwdriver and wiped her dusty hands on her jeans. The knees were already stained with grease from the bike chain she'd fixed that morning. Her mother always said Maya had a gift for taking broken things and making them work again. Maya wasn't sure if it was a gift or just that she liked puzzles better than people. Downstairs, her mother stood by the kitchen table in her blue SpaceX polo shirt. Dr. Sarah Chen worked as a propulsion engineer at the SpaceX facility in Hawthorne, just 15 minutes from their small apartment. She held a thick cream-colored envelope, turning it over in her hands with a strange expression on her face. "What is it?" Maya asked, reaching for the envelope. Her mother didn't hand it over right away. "It's addressed to you, from someone at the company." She paused. "Maya, did you apply for something, some kind of program?" "No," Maya took the envelope. It was heavy, made of expensive paper that felt smooth and important. Her name was written in black ink across the front, Miss Maya Chen, not just Maya, Miss Maya Chen, like she was a grown-up. The return address simply said, "The Academy, Austin, Texas." "Can I open it?" Maya asked. Her mother nodded slowly, but her eyes looked worried. "Go ahead." Maya slid her finger under the seal and pulled out a letter. The paper inside was even heavier than the envelope. At the top was a logo she'd never seen before, a key with wings spreading out from both sides. Below it, typed in crisp black letters, "Dear Maya, you have been selected for the Academy's summer program. This is a special invitation extended to only 16 young people this year. The program will take place at the Musk family ranch near Austin, Texas, for 6 weeks beginning June 20th. You will learn skills not taught in regular schools. You will be challenged in ways you cannot yet imagine. You will discover what you are truly capable of achieving. This opportunity is offered to you because someone believed you were ready. Someone saw potential in you that perhaps you do not yet see in yourself. If you choose to accept, you must agree to Rule 1. Never speak about the Academy to anyone outside the program. What you learn, what you experience, and who you meet must remain private until you complete the program. Your transportation, meals, and all materials will be provided. Please respond by June 15th. We hope you will join us. Sincerely, Maria Rodriguez, Director of the Academy. Maya read the letter 3 times. Her heart beat faster with each reading. The Musk family ranch, as in Elon Musk, the person who owned SpaceX where her mother worked, The person who was trying to send humans to Mars. Mom, is this real? Maya looked up at her mother, whose face had gone pale. I don't know. Her mother took the letter and read it herself. I've heard rumors about something called the Academy. Some of the engineers at work mention it, but they always get quiet when anyone asks questions. I thought it was just a story. What kind of story? Her mother sat down at the kitchen table, still holding the letter. A story about a secret program for kids where they learn, I don't know exactly, how to think like Elon Musk thinks maybe, how to solve impossible problems. She shook her head. Maya, this seems too strange. Why would they invite you? The question hung in the air between them. Maya felt a familiar ache in her chest. Why would they invite her? She was nobody special. She was just a kid who liked fixing broken things and building robots in her garage. She got decent grades but wasn't the smartest kid in her class. She had a few friends but wasn't popular. She was ordinary, except. Mom, do you think Dad had something to do with this? Her mother's eyes filled with tears instantly. She looked away, out the window toward the street where kids were riding bikes in the warm summer afternoon. Maya's father, James Chen, had died 2 years ago. Car accident on the 405 freeway, driving home late from SpaceX after another long shift. Maya remembered the police officers at their door. She remembered her mother collapsing. She remembered thinking it was all a mistake, that her dad would walk through the door any minute with his crooked smile and oil-stained hands, asking what she was building in the garage, but he never did. Your father, her mother's voice cracked. Your father worked on some special projects, secret things he couldn't tell me about. He used to say you were brilliant, Maya. He used to say you thought like an engineer even when you were tiny. Maybe he nominated you for something before. She couldn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Maya looked at the letter again. Someone believed you were ready. Her throat tightened. Had her dad done this? Had he somehow arranged for her to get this invitation before he died? There's something else in the envelope, her mother said quietly. Maya reached in and pulled out a smaller piece of paper. On it was printed a single paragraph. Transportation will be arranged. A car will pick you up on June 20th at 6:00 a.m. Pack light. Bring work clothes, not fancy clothes. Bring curiosity, not expectations. Bring your best self. And at the bottom, handwritten in blue ink, your father would be proud. Maya's hands started shaking. Tears blurred her vision. Her father would be proud. Someone who knew her father had written this. Someone who remembered him. I want to go, Maya whispered. Honey, we don't know anything about this program. It could be. I want to go, Maya said louder. Mom, please. If Dad set this up, if he wanted me to do this, I have to go. I have to. Her mother wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She looked at Maya for a long moment, seeing something in her daughter's face that made her pause. Determination, maybe, or desperation, or the same look James Chen used to get when he was working on a problem he couldn't solve, the look that said he wouldn't quit until he figured it out. Let me make some calls, her mother finally said. Let me see what I can find out from people at work. But the letter says not to talk about it. The letter says you can't talk about it. I'm your mother. I'm allowed to make sure my daughter isn't being sent somewhere dangerous. Her mother's voice was firm now, back in control. Give me until tomorrow, then we'll decide together. Maya nodded, but she already knew what her decision would be. She was going to the academy. She had to know what this was about. She had to know if her father had really been part of this. She had to know why someone thought she was special enough to invite. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on her ceiling, stars her father had helped her stick up there when she was 7. They'd spent a whole Saturday arranging them in actual constellations: Orion, Cassiopeia, Ursa Major. Someday humans will live up there, her father had said, pointing at the ceiling as if it were the real night sky. On the moon, on Mars, maybe even farther. And you know what? Maybe you'll be one of the people who helps make that happen." Me, Maya had laughed. "I'm just a kid." "You're just a kid now," her father had said, tapping her nose with his finger. "But you won't be a kid forever. And when you grow up, Maya, you're going to do something important. I can feel it." Maya rolled over and looked at the photo on her nightstand. Her father, smiling, holding a model rocket they'd built together. She'd been 10 in that picture. 2 years later, he was gone. What had he been working on? What secrets had he kept? Had he really nominated her for the Academy before he died? Maya got out of bed and walked to her desk. She pulled out the bottom drawer and removed a small cardboard box. Inside were the things her mother had given her from her father's office at SpaceX, the personal items from his desk after the accident. There wasn't much. A coffee mug that said "Failure is not an option," a framed photo of their family at Disneyland, a small notebook with a leather cover. Maya had looked through the notebook before, but it was mostly technical drawings and equations she didn't understand. Rocket stuff, engineer stuff. But now she flipped through it again more carefully. Halfway through, she stopped. There in the margin of a page covered in calculations, her father had drawn something. A small doodle, barely noticeable. But Maya noticed it now because she'd just seen the same image on the letter from the Academy. A key with wings. Her breath caught. Below the drawing in her father's handwriting. "For Maya when she's ready." Maya's hands trembled. She ran her fingers over the ink, feeling the slight indent where her father's pen had pressed into the paper. He had known about the Academy. He had planned this. But why? What was this place? What would she learn there? And why did he think she'd be ready 2 years after his death? Maya closed the notebook and held it against her chest. Outside her window, the California night was warm and quiet. Somewhere out there in Austin, Texas, was a ranch where 16 kids would spend their summer learning mysterious things from mysterious people. And somehow, impossibly, her dead father had made sure she'd be one of them. "I'll make you proud, Dad," Maya whispered to the empty room. "I don't know how, but I will." She climbed back into bed, still clutching the notebook. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of rockets and keys and her father's voice saying words she couldn't quite hear. The next morning, Maya's mother made the decision. She'd called 3 people at SpaceX, carefully, quietly, without mentioning the Academy by name. All 3 had said the same thing. If Maya got an invitation to that program, let her go. It's an incredible opportunity. And yes, James was involved in setting it up before he died. So on June 15th, Maya's mother called the number on the letter and confirmed. Maya would attend the Academy. The 5 days before departure crawled by like 5 years. Maya packed and repacked her bag. Work clothes, the letter had said. She included her oldest jeans, 3 t-shirts, a hoodie, sneakers, and her work boots from when she helped her uncle with construction last summer. She threw in the notebook with her father's drawings. And at the last minute, she added the small screwdriver set her father had given her for her 10th birthday. On the morning of June 20th, Maya woke at 5 o'clock, an hour before the car was supposed to arrive. She was too nervous to eat breakfast, but her mother insisted she have toast and orange juice. 6 weeks is a long time, her mother said, trying to smile but not quite managing it. "I'm going to miss you so much." "I'll miss you too, Mom." Maya hugged her mother tight. She smelled like coffee and the lavender shampoo she always used. Maya breathed it in, trying to memorize it. At exactly 6 o'clock, a black car pulled up outside their apartment. The driver was a woman in her 30s with kind eyes and a professional manner. She helped Maya load her single backpack into the trunk. "Ready for an adventure?" the driver asked. Maya looked back at her mother, who stood in the doorway crying and waving. Then Maya looked at the car, which would take her to the airport, which would take her to Austin, which would take her to the Academy, which would take her to... What? She thought about her father. She thought about the winged key. She thought about being ready. "Yes," Maya said and climbed into the car. "I'm ready." As they drove away, Maya watched her apartment building disappear in the side mirror. She was leaving behind everything familiar: her home, her mother, her regular summer of sleeping late and fixing broken things in the garage. She was heading towards something unknown, and somehow, Maya knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The airplane landed in Austin at 2 in the afternoon. Maya had never been to Texas before. Through the small window, she could see flat land stretching forever, so different from the crowded streets of Hawthorne. A different driver met her at the airport. This time it was a man with gray hair and a friendly smile. He held a sign that said Academy in simple black letters. "Maya Chen?" he asked. She nodded, suddenly shy. Her voice felt stuck in her throat. "I'm Robert. We've got about a 3-hour drive to the ranch. You hungry?" Maya shook her head, even though she'd barely eaten all day. Her stomach was twisted in knots. They drove south out of Austin through smaller towns and then onto highways that cut through empty land. Robert didn't talk much, which Maya appreciated. She watched Texas roll by outside her window, so much space, so much sky. Finally, Robert turned onto a dirt road. A wooden sign appeared, "Private property." No mention of the Academy, no mention of the Musk family, just those 2 words. The road wound through dry grassland for another 20 minutes. Then Maya saw buildings ahead, a large ranch house painted white, several smaller cabins scattered around it, and in the distance, something that made her heart jump, massive metal structures that looked like rockets. "Is that Starbase?" Maya asked, finding her voice. Robert smiled. "You know about Starbase?" "My mom works at SpaceX. She talks about it sometimes. That's where they're building the Starship, right?" "Smart kid," Robert said. "The launch facility is about 15 miles that way. This ranch is close enough to see the tests, but far enough to be safe. You'll probably see some launches while you're here." The car pulled up to the main ranch house. Maya could see other kids already there, standing in small groups on the wide porch. Some looked nervous like her. Others looked confident. All of them looked curious. Robert helped Maya get her backpack. "Head on up. Maria will meet everyone soon." Maya climbed the porch steps slowly. A girl about her age stood alone by the railing, looking out at the distant rocket structures. She had dark skin and wore glasses, and she was muttering numbers under her breath. "Hi," Maya said quietly. The girl jumped, startled. "Oh, sorry. I was calculating the distance to those structures using angular measurement and estimated height." Maya blinked. "Did you figure it out?" "Approximately 14.6 miles. The girl smiled shyly. "I'm Priya. From Mumbai originally, but my dad's here consulting for Neuralink. That's another Elon Musk company." "I'm Maya. My mom works at SpaceX." "So you know about rockets?" Priya's face lit up. "Most kids think I'm weird when I talk about engineering." Before Maya could respond, a loud voice interrupted them. "This place is in the middle of nowhere. There's no cell signal." A boy about 13 stood holding his phone up, waving it around like he could catch invisible signals from the air. He had blonde hair styled with gel and wore expensive sneakers that looked brand new. Everything about him said he was used to getting what he wanted. "I'm Lucas," he announced to everyone on the porch. "My parents both work at Tesla. They said this program would look good on my college applications." He looked around at the ranch with obvious disappointment. "I thought it would be more impressive." Maya exchanged a look with Priya. They didn't say anything, but Maya could tell they were both thinking the same thing. Lucas was going to be annoying. Another boy sat on the porch steps, away from everyone else. He looked about 14, with dark hair and a scowl on his face. His arms were crossed and he stared at the ground like he wanted to be anywhere else. Maya counted quickly. Including herself, there were 16 kids total. Ages ranged from about 10 to 14. Some wore nervous expressions. Others looked excited. A few, like the boy on the steps, looked angry. The front door opened and a woman stepped out. She was maybe 40 years old with black hair pulled back in a ponytail. She wore jeans and a gray t-shirt. Her face was kind but serious. "Welcome," she said. Her voice carried easily across the porch. "I'm Maria Rodriguez. I run the academy. For the next 6 weeks, I'll be your teacher, your guide, and sometimes the person you want to yell at. That's all normal." Some kids laughed nervously. Lucas didn't laugh. "Let me tell you what this is not," Maria continued. "This is not summer camp. This is not a vacation. This is not a place where you'll make friendship bracelets and sing songs around a campfire." She paused, making eye contact with each kid. "This is a place where you'll work harder than you've ever worked, where you'll fail more than you've ever failed, where you'll discover abilities you didn't know you had, and where you'll learn rules that will change how you see the world." Maya felt her pulse quicken. Rules. The letter had mentioned rules. "Speaking of which," Maria said, "you've already learned rule number 1. Never speak about the academy to anyone outside the program. That rule stays in effect for your entire life. What happens here, what you learn here, who you meet here, all private. Can everyone agree to that?" The kids nodded or murmured agreement. "Good. Now let's talk about rule number 2. Maria smiled, but it wasn't a comforting smile. "Rule number 2. You must earn your meals through completed challenges." Silence fell over the porch. "What?" Lucas said. "That's crazy. You can't starve kids." "I didn't say anything about starving," Maria replied calmly. "I said you must earn your meals. There's a difference. You'll always have access to water, but breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you work for those." The boy sitting on the steps finally looked up. "That's messed up," he muttered. "What's your name?" Maria asked him. "Tyler." "Where are you from, Tyler?" "Nevada, Las Vegas." He looked back at the ground. "And I didn't ask to come here. My mom made me." "Why did she make you?" Tyler shrugged, said I was wasting my summer playing video games, said this would be good for me. His voice dripped with sarcasm on the last words. Maria nodded. "Parents often see things we can't see yet. Give it a week, Tyler. If you still hate it after 7 days, we'll send you home. Deal?" Tyler looked surprised. "Seriously?" "Seriously. I don't keep kids here who don't want to learn, but you have to give it an honest try first." She turned back to the whole group. "Let me explain why rule number 2 exists. In the real world, nobody gives you anything for free. You want food. Someone had to grow it, harvest it, transport it, cook it. That's work. You want a house. Someone had to build it. That's work. You want a phone like the one Lucas keeps checking." Lucas quickly lowered his phone. "Someone had to design it, engineer it, manufacture it, ship it. All work. This program teaches you that comfort and success require effort, always." Maya thought about her father, working late nights at SpaceX, coming home exhausted. Now she understood a little better why he'd done it. "Your first challenge starts in 1 hour," Maria said. "You'll be divided into 4 teams of 4. Each team must build a water filtration system using only natural materials and basic tools. The system must produce 1 gallon of clean, drinkable water. Whichever teams succeed will eat dinner tonight. Teams that fail will try again tomorrow morning for breakfast." "That's impossible," a small girl with red hair said. "We don't know how to do that." "Then you'll learn," Maria said simply. "Welcome to the academy. Your teachers are failure, frustration, and eventually, if you're lucky, success." She opened the door and gestured inside. "Put your bags in your assigned cabins. Girls in cabin 1 and 2, boys in cabin 3 and 4. You have 50 minutes. Then we begin." The kids filed inside slowly, nervously. The ranch house had a large main room with wooden beams across the ceiling. Photos hung on the walls. Maya recognized some of them. Pictures of Elon Musk with his children. Pictures of rocket launches. Pictures of Tesla cars being assembled. But one photo made Maya stop walking. It showed a group of SpaceX engineers standing in front of a Falcon 9 rocket. And there, in the back row, was her father. younger than she remembered him, but definitely him. Smiling his crooked smile. "You knew him," Maria's voice came from right behind Maya. Maya jumped. She hadn't heard Maria approach. "That's my dad," Maya whispered. "James Chen." Maria's expression softened. "I know. He was a good man, a brilliant engineer, and he specifically requested you for this program before he died." Tears burned in Maya's eyes. "Why?" "Because he saw something in you that you need to discover for yourself. That's what the Academy does. It helps you find the abilities that are already inside you." Maria put a hand on Maya's shoulder. "Your father believed you were ready for this. I believe it too." "But I'm not special," Maya said. "I'm just me." "Your father used to say something," Maria said. "He'd say that every person has unused capacity. Most people never push hard enough to find out what they're truly capable of. He didn't want that for you." Maya wiped her eyes quickly. "The water filtration challenge. My dad taught me something about that, about using sand and charcoal in layers." Maria smiled. "Then maybe you'll eat dinner tonight, but remember rule number 4, no grades, no scores, only solutions or lessons. If you succeed at the challenge, great. If you fail, you'll learn something valuable. Both outcomes have worth." She walked away, leaving Maya staring at her father's photograph. Priya appeared beside her. "That's your dad." Maya nodded. "He looks nice," Priya said quietly. "My dad is obsessed with Elon Musk. That's why we moved here from India. He wanted to work for one of the companies. Sometimes I wish he was obsessed with being home instead." Maya understood that feeling. "My dad worked all the time too, but at least he was alive." The words came out harsher than she meant them. Priya looked shocked. "I'm sorry," Maya said quickly. "I didn't mean." "No, I'm sorry," Priya interrupted. "That was insensitive of me. I complain about my dad when at least I still have him. You must miss yours so much." Maya nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Lucas walked past them, still messing with his phone. "No signal anywhere. This is ridiculous. How are we supposed to survive without internet?" "Maybe that's the point," Tyler said from across the room. It was the first non-angry thing he'd said. "Maybe they want us to actually think instead of just looking everything up." Maria clapped her hands. 40 minutes until the challenge. Get settled in your cabins, then meet at the workshop behind the house." The kids scattered. Maya found cabin 1 and claimed a simple wooden bed. The cabin had 4 beds, 4 small dressers, and nothing else. No TV, no decorations, just basics. Her cabin mates were Priya, the small red-headed girl whose name was Sophie, and a tall Asian girl named Hannah who barely spoke. "This is so different from my house," Sophie said nervously. "At home, I have my own room with a computer and TV and everything." "Me too," Hannah admitted quietly. "My parents are both Tesla executives. We live in a mansion in Palo Alto." "My house is small," Maya said. "Just me and my mom in an apartment." Nobody said anything after that. They unpacked in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Maya pulled out her father's notebook and held it for a moment. Then she tucked it under her pillow. Tonight she'd need to remember everything he'd taught her about water filtration. Outside the cabin window, the Texas sun beat down on the dry land. In the distance, the rocket structures glimmered like metal dreams. Maya took a deep breath. Rule number 2, earn your meals through completed challenges. She was about to find out if her father had taught her enough to succeed, or if she'd go to bed hungry on her first night at the academy. The workshop sat behind the main ranch house, a large metal building with open sides. Inside, 4 workstations had been set up. Each station had a pile of materials, buckets, rope, cloth, empty plastic bottles, and simple tools like hammers and saws. Maria stood at the front as the 16 kids gathered around. The Texas heat pressed down on them. Maya wiped sweat from her forehead. "Before we begin," Maria said, "I need to tell you about rule number 3. Failure is required. You must fail at least 3 times before succeeding." Lucas raised his hand. "That doesn't make sense. Why would we try to fail?" "I didn't say try to fail. I said failure is required. It's part of learning." Maria picked up a piece of wood from one of the stations. When SpaceX was starting, their first 3 rockets exploded. Each explosion cost millions of dollars, but each failure taught them something. The 4th rocket made it to orbit. Without those first 3 failures, there would be no SpaceX today. She set the wood down. "You're going to fail today, maybe multiple times. That's not just okay, it's necessary. The question isn't whether you'll fail. The question is whether you'll learn from it." Maria divided them into teams. Maya ended up with Priya, Lucas, and a quiet boy named Derek who wore thick glasses and kept his hands in his pockets. "You have until sunset," Maria announced. "That's about 4 hours. Your goal: create a filtration system that produces 1 gallon of clean water. You'll find dirty pond water in those containers. You can gather natural materials from around the property: sand, rocks, grass, whatever you think will work." Questions? Sophie raised her hand. "What if we don't know how to start?" "Then you figure it out, that's the point." Maria checked her watch. "Your time starts now." The 4 teams scattered. Maya's team stood around their workstation looking at each other. "Anyone know anything about water filtration?" Lucas asked. "I read about it once," Priya said. "I think you need layers of different materials. Sand, maybe, gravel." "My dad taught me something," Maya said quietly, "but I'm not sure I remember it right." "Well, you're our best hope," Lucas said. "What do we do first?" Maya closed her eyes, trying to remember. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. They'd been in the garage fixing a fish tank filter. What had he said? "We need a container with holes in the bottom," Maya said slowly. "Then layers inside. Big rocks first, then smaller rocks, then gravel, then sand, then charcoal if we can make it." "Where do we get charcoal?" Derek asked. It was the first time he'd spoken. "We burn wood," Maya said, "but that takes time." "Then let's split up," Lucas said, taking charge. "Derek and I will gather rocks and sand from the property. You 2 figure out the container and see about making charcoal." They split up. Maya and Priya examined the materials at their station. The plastic bottles were too small, but one of the buckets had a solid bottom. "We need to drill holes," Maya said. They found a drill in the toolbox. Maya had used her father's drill before, but this one was heavier. She squeezed the trigger experimentally. It whirred to life. Carefully, she drilled holes in the bucket's bottom. The plastic cracked on her first attempt. A piece broke off, making the hole too large. "That's 1 failure," Priya said, not unkindly. Maya tried again on the other side of the bucket. This time she went slower. The hole came out cleaner, about the size of a pencil. She drilled 5 more holes, taking her time. "Good," Priya said. "Now we need something to catch the water underneath." They set the drilled bucket inside a larger bucket with no holes. Water could drip through the top bucket and collect in the bottom one. Lucas and Derek returned with armfuls of rocks and a bag of sand they'd scooped from near a dry creek bed. "This sand is pretty dirty," Derek observed. "We'll rinse it first," Maya said. They spent 20 minutes rinsing sand and sorting rocks by size. The Texas sun climbed higher. Maya's shirt stuck to her back with sweat. "We still need charcoal," Priya reminded them. "I'll start a fire," Lucas volunteered. He gathered dry wood and used matches from the toolbox. Soon a small fire burned in a metal container, but making charcoal wasn't as simple as burning wood. They had to burn it partially, then extinguish it before it turned to ash. Lucas's first attempt burned completely. Just white ash remained. "That's failure number 2, he muttered. Tyler's team at the next station was arguing. Maya could hear them even from 20 feet away. "This is stupid." Tyler said. "We're never going to get clean water from pond scum." "Not with that attitude," a girl on his team shot back. "Whatever, I don't even care about dinner." But Maya noticed Tyler kept working despite his complaints. He was gathering rocks, sorting them carefully by size. Maybe he cared more than he admitted. Another hour passed. The other teams were building their filtration systems too. Sophie's team had created something elaborate with cloth and rope. Hannah's team had gone a different direction, using only sand and grass in layers. Maya's team finally had charcoal, small black pieces that Lucas had managed to create on his third try. They started layering materials in the bucket. Large rocks at the bottom, then smaller rocks, then gravel, then sand, then crushed charcoal at the very top. "How do we know if it works?" Derek asked. "We test it," Maya said. They poured dirty pond water into the top of their bucket. It was brown and murky, full of floating bits of leaves and dirt. The water trickled down through the layers, disappearing from sight. At first, nothing came out the bottom. "It's not working," Lucas said. "Give it time," Priya urged. Slowly, very slowly, water began dripping from the holes in the bottom bucket. It collected in the bucket below. But when Maya looked at it, her heart sank. The water was still brown, still dirty, still full of particles. "Failure number 3, she said quietly. "What did we do wrong?" Priya asked. Maya thought hard. What had her father said? Something about the layers being too loose. Or was it that they needed more charcoal? "I think our sand layer is too thin," Maya said. "And maybe we need the charcoal pieces smaller, like powder." "We don't have time to start over," Lucas said, checking the sun's position. "Maybe 2 hours left." "Then we modify what we have," Maya said. She was surprised by the determination in her own voice. "We can add more sand on top and crush the charcoal finer." They worked frantically. Derek crushed charcoal between 2 rocks, making it almost powder fine. Priya added another 2 inches of sand to their filter. Lucas rinsed everything with clean water first to remove any loose dirt. "Try again," Maya said. They poured more dirty pond water in. Again they waited. Again water dripped slowly into the collection bucket. This time it looked different, clearer, not perfectly clean but much better than before. "It's working," Priya exclaimed. But as they watched, the water flow slowed to almost nothing. The filter was clogging. "No, no, no," Lucas said. "Come on." "We need to let it settle," Maya said, though she wasn't sure if that was right. She was guessing now, working on instinct. They waited 5 agonizing minutes. The dripping continued but stayed painfully slow. Around them, other teams were having similar problems. Sophie's team had created a filter that worked quickly but produced water that still looked dirty. Hannah's team had a filter that produced almost nothing. Their layers were packed too tightly. Tyler's team, surprisingly, seemed to be doing well. Their filter dripped steadily, producing relatively clear water. Tyler still looked angry, but he was working hard, adjusting their layers with careful hands. Maria walked between the stations, observing but not helping. When she passed Maya's team, she paused. "What have you learned so far?" she asked. "That it's harder than we thought," Lucas admitted. "Good, what else?" "That we have to balance speed and cleanliness," Priya said. "Fast filters don't clean well. Good filters are too slow." "Excellent observation. Keep going." The sun dropped lower in the sky. Maya's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since the toast that morning in California. That felt like days ago now. Their filter finally produced a cup of relatively clear water, but they needed a gallon, 16 cups. At this rate, it would take hours. "We need another filter running at the same time," Derek suggested. "We don't have another bucket," Lucas said. "We have bottles," Derek pointed out. They quickly built a smaller version of their filter using a large plastic bottle with the bottom cut off. They drilled tiny holes in the bottle cap and repeated the layering process. Now they had 2 filters running simultaneously. The water dripped into collection containers below both. Slowly, painfully slowly, the water accumulated. Other teams were finishing. Tyler's team was first. They showed Maria their gallon of filtered water. She examined it closely, even smelled it. "Acceptable," she said. "Tyler's team has earned dinner." Tyler tried to hide his smile, but Maya saw it. He was proud whether he wanted to admit it or not. Sophie's team finished next. Their water was slightly cloudy, but Maria approved it. Hannah's team kept working, but their filter was too slow. The sun touched the horizon. Maya's team had collected about half a gallon between both filters. They needed to speed up somehow. "What if we remove some of the sand?" Maya suggested. "It might flow faster." "But will it still be clean enough?" Priya worried. "We have to try." They carefully removed about an inch of sand from both filters. The water flow increased noticeably. The water was slightly less clear, but still much better than the original pond water. The sun sank lower. Shadows stretched across the workshop. 15 minutes, Maria called out. Maya's hands shook as she watched the water drip. Half a gallon, 3/4, they were so close. Lucas paced nervously. Priya calculated under her breath. Derek stood perfectly still, barely breathing. The bottle filter finished first. Its smaller size meant it filled faster. Maya carefully poured it into their main collection bucket. Almost there, just a few more inches needed. 5 minutes, Maria announced. The dripping seemed to slow down, or maybe that was just Maya's imagination. Every second felt like an hour. "Come on," Lucas whispered. "Come on, come on, come on." The water level rose, 1 inch below the gallon mark, half an inch, 1 minute. 1/4 inch. The dripping continued, so close. "Time," Maria said. Maya looked at their bucket. The water line sat just barely at the 1 gallon mark, maybe a tiny bit under, maybe exactly right. It was impossible to tell. Lucas grabbed the bucket and rushed to Maria. The whole team held their breath. Maria examined the water. She held it up to the fading light. She smelled it. She even dipped a finger in and tasted it. The silence stretched forever. Finally, Maria nodded. "Acceptable. You made it with seconds to spare. Maya's team has earned dinner." They erupted in celebration. Lucas high-fived everyone. Priya hugged Maya. Even Derek smiled. But Maya's relief mixed with guilt as she looked at Hannah's team. They stood by their station looking dejected. Their filter had produced only half a gallon. They would go to bed hungry. Maria gathered everyone as darkness fell. 3 teams succeeded. 1 team did not. That's the reality of challenges. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Hannah's team will try again tomorrow for breakfast. "But that's not fair," Sophie said. "They worked just as hard as we did." "Fair isn't the same as equal," Maria replied. "In the real world, effort alone doesn't guarantee success. You also need the right approach, good timing, and sometimes luck. Hannah's team learned valuable lessons today. Tomorrow, they'll apply those lessons and succeed." She led the 3 successful teams to a dining area inside the main house. The meal was simple: sandwiches, fruit, vegetables, water. But to Maya, it tasted like the best food she'd ever eaten. She had earned it. Every bite meant something. Across the table, Tyler ate quickly, not making eye contact with anyone. But Maya noticed he'd stopped scowling. After dinner, Maria gathered everyone again, including the team that hadn't eaten. "Today you learned rule number 3. Failure is required. But there's a 4th rule you need to understand." She paused. "Rule number 4, no grades, no scores, only solutions or lessons." "What does that mean?" Sophie asked. "It means we don't give you A's or B's or rankings. We don't say you're first place or last place. You either solve the problem or you learn why you couldn't. Both outcomes have equal value in the long run." Maria looked at Hannah's team. "You didn't eat dinner tonight. That feels like failure. But what did you learn?" "That packing the layers too tightly stops water flow," Hannah said quietly. "Perfect. Tomorrow you'll apply that knowledge. You'll eat breakfast because of what you learned today through failure. That's the rule: no grades, only solutions or lessons." The kids were dismissed to their cabins. Maya walked back with her cabin mates under a sky full of stars, more stars than she'd ever seen in California. The darkness was complete out here in the Texas desert. Inside cabin 1, the girls got ready for bed in exhausted silence. Maya's muscles ached from standing, from carrying rocks, from drilling and building and worrying. She pulled her father's notebook from under her pillow and opened it to the page with the winged key symbol. "What's that?" Priya asked from the next bed. "My dad's notebook. He worked at SpaceX before he died." "The key with wings, that's the Academy's symbol. Why did your dad draw it?" "I don't know," Maya admitted. "But I think he knew about this place. I think he wanted me to come here." Sophie leaned over from her bed. "My mom told me that Elon Musk's kids go through challenges like this all the time. She said he doesn't believe in giving them easy lives just because he's rich." "That seems mean," Hannah said softly. "Or maybe it's kind," Priya suggested. "Maybe teaching kids to work hard is the kindest thing you can do, better than raising them to be helpless." Maya thought about that as she turned off her lamp. In the darkness, she heard the other girls shifting in their beds, settling down. Her mind replayed the day, the panic of not knowing what to do, the frustration of failures, the exhaustion of working in the heat, and finally the incredible satisfaction of success. She'd failed 3 times before succeeding, exactly like rule number 3 said. But here was what surprised her. The failures hadn't felt bad. They'd felt like steps, like learning, like progress towards something real. Outside, a coyote howled in the distance. The Texas night was alive with sounds Maya had never heard before. She thought about her father working late nights at SpaceX, all those failures before the rockets flew. All that effort just to move humanity forward one small step at a time. Tomorrow they'd face new challenges. Tomorrow Hannah's team would try again. Tomorrow Maya would learn new rules, new skills, new things about herself. But tonight she'd earned her dinner. She'd worked with a team. She'd solved a real problem, not a homework assignment or a test question. A real problem that mattered. As sleep pulled her under, Maya's last thought was of the winged key symbol. Knowledge that lifts humanity. Maybe that's what her father had meant. Maybe that's what the Academy was really about. Not just learning information, but learning how to solve problems that mattered. How to fail forward. How to earn what you needed through skill and effort and perseverance. Maya smiled in the darkness. Tomorrow would be hard, but she was ready. Maya woke to someone shaking her shoulder. She opened her eyes to find Maria standing beside her bed. Outside the cabin window, the sky was still dark. "What time is it?" Maya whispered, trying not to wake the other girls. 5 in the morning, Maria said quietly. "Come with me. Bring your father's notebook." Maya's heart pounded. Was she in trouble? She quickly pulled on jeans and a sweatshirt over her pajamas and grabbed the notebook from under her pillow. Outside, the Texas air was cool and fresh. Stars still filled the sky, though the eastern horizon showed the first hint of gray. Maria led Maya to the main ranch house and into a small office. "Sit," Maria said, gesturing to a chair. Maya sat, clutching her father's notebook. The office had a simple desk, some filing cabinets, and photos on the walls. One photo showed Maria with Elon Musk, both smiling at some event. "You're wondering why you're here," Maria said. Maya nodded. "Your father and I worked together at SpaceX for 3 years. He was one of the smartest engineers I knew, but more than that, he cared about the future." Maria sat on the edge of the desk. "Before he died, he asked me to watch over you, to make sure you got into the Academy when you were ready." "Why didn't you tell me yesterday?" "Because yesterday you needed to discover your own strength, not rely on your father's memory." Maria smiled gently. "But now I'm telling you because of rule number 5, which you'll learn today. I want you to understand why your father cared so much about this rule." "What's the rule?" "You'll see, but first, look at page 47 in that notebook." Maya flipped through the pages. Page 47 had technical drawings of some kind of engine component. But in the margin, Her father had written something. Maya, when you're old enough, remember, technology should serve you, not control you. Don't let screens steal your life. Love, Dad. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Her father had written this for her, knowing she'd read it someday. He worried about your generation, Maria said. He saw how kids were growing up addicted to phones and social media. He wanted something different for you. A bell rang outside. Dawn was breaking. Time for everyone else to wake up, Maria said. Thank you for coming early, Maya. Today will be difficult for some kids. Remember what your father wrote. Maya walked back to her cabin in the growing light. Inside, the other girls were stirring. Sophie groaned and pulled her pillow over her head. Hannah checked her phone immediately. Still no signal, Hannah complained. How do they expect us to live like this? Priya was already up and dressed. Good morning, Maya. Where did you go? Maria wanted to talk to me about something. Maya didn't elaborate. Some things felt private. They walked to breakfast together. Hannah's team from yesterday was already at the workshop, working on their water filtration system. Maya could see the determination on their faces. They would eat this morning. The other kids gathered in the dining area. Breakfast smells filled the air: eggs, toast, fruit. Maya's stomach rumbled, but before anyone could eat, Maria stood at the front of the room. Good morning. Today you learn rule number 5. She held up a small locked box. This box now contains all of your phones. They'll stay locked for the duration of the program. Chaos erupted. What? No way, Lucas jumped to his feet. You can't take our phones, Sophie cried. I need to call my parents, another kid shouted. Tyler surprisingly said nothing. He just shrugged like he didn't care. Maria waited for the noise to die down. Rule number 5, technology is a tool, not a toy. Earn your screen time. This is illegal, Lucas said. You're stealing our property. I'm not stealing anything. Your phones are safe, and you can earn time with them. Maria set the box on a table. Here's how it works. You complete physical and mental challenges throughout the day. For every challenge completed, you earn 30 minutes of personal screen time. You can use those 30 minutes however you want, calling family, checking social media, playing games. 30 minutes, Lucas looked horrified. I usually use my phone for like 6 hours a day. I know, Maria said. That's the problem. She walked to a whiteboard and drew a simple chart. Let me tell you something about the people who create the apps you're addicted to. Many of them don't let their own children use these apps. Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use iPads. The people who invented social media keep it away from their own families. Why? Nobody answered. Because they know the truth, Maria continued. These apps are designed to be addictive. They're engineered to grab your attention and never let go. Every notification, every like, every scroll, it's all designed to trigger dopamine in your brain, the same chemical that makes people addicted to gambling or drugs. Maya thought about how often she checked her phone at home. Sometimes she picked it up without even thinking about it. She'd be doing homework and suddenly realize she'd been scrolling through videos for 20 minutes. Elon Musk limits his children's recreational screen time, Maria said. He wants them to create things, not just consume things. Work-related screen time, coding, research, learning, that's unlimited here. But entertainment screen time, you earn it. What about calling our parents? Priya asked quietly. Every Sunday you get a free 30-minute call home. No challenges required. But beyond that, you earn extra time if you want it. Maria explained the challenge system. Throughout the day, kids could attempt various tasks, solving math problems, running obstacle courses, building things, helping with ranch work. Each completed task earned 30 minutes of phone time, tracked on a chart on the wall. This is insane, Lucas muttered. But he sat down. After breakfast, which Hannah's team earned with their improved water filter, Maria announced the day's main activity. Today you'll work in pairs to build a small robot from scratch. The robot must be able to navigate a simple obstacle course. You have all day. You can use computers for programming as much as you need, that's work. But no checking Instagram while you code. She paired the kids up. Maya ended up with Tyler, which surprised her. She barely knew him. "Great," Tyler said sarcastically. "The girl whose dad worked at SpaceX and the burnout from Vegas will definitely win." "I don't care about winning," Maya said. "I just want to build something cool." Tyler looked at her for a long moment. "Yeah, okay, me too, actually." They collected their materials from the workshop: motors, wheels, sensors, wires, a basic computer for programming. The task seemed impossible at first. Neither of them had built a robot before, but they started with small steps. Tyler, it turned out, knew basic coding from computer class at school. Maya understood how motors and gears worked from helping her father in the garage. "If we attach the sensors to the front," Maya said, "the robot can detect obstacles. And we program it to turn when it senses something in the way," Tyler added. They worked through the morning. Around them, other pairs struggled with their own robots. Lucas and his partner argued constantly about whose design was better. Sophie and her partner couldn't get their motors to work at all. Priya was paired with Derek. They worked in almost complete silence, but their robot was taking shape impressively fast. They communicated through gestures and nods like they shared a secret language. By lunchtime, Maya noticed something strange. Nobody had mentioned their phones in hours. Everyone was too focused on their robots. During lunch, Lucas finally brought it up. "I've been here almost 24 hours without my phone. This is the longest I've gone since I was like 8 years old." "How do you feel?" Maria asked. Lucas considered this. "Weird, like something's missing, but also," he hesitated, "I don't know, kind of free. Is that crazy?" "Not crazy at all," Maria said. "Your brain is detoxing. For years, you've been giving it constant stimulation. Now you're learning to be bored again, and boredom is where creativity lives." After lunch, they returned to their robots. Maya and Tyler's machine was coming together. They'd created a small box on wheels with sensors mounted on the front and sides. The programming was simple: move forward until you detect an obstacle, then turn and try a new direction. "Let's test it," Tyler said. They placed the robot on the floor and turned it on. It rolled forward, stopped at a chair leg, turned, and continued. When it reached a wall, it turned again. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes it got stuck in corners, but it worked. "We did it." Maya couldn't help grinning. Tyler smiled too. It was the first real smile she'd seen from him. "Not bad for a burnout and a SpaceX kid." "Why do you call yourself a burnout?" Maya asked. Tyler's smile faded. "Because that's what everyone at home says. My grades are bad, I don't do sports, I just play video games all day. My mom thinks I'm wasting my life." "But you're good at this," Maya said, gesturing at the robot. "You figured out the coding really fast." "That's different. This is actually interesting." Tyler looked uncomfortable with the compliment. "Video games are just easier. They don't require anything from me. I can be terrible at real life and still win at games." Maya understood that feeling. After her father died, she'd spent months doing nothing but watching TV and playing on her phone. It was easier than feeling sad. "Maria's right about the phones," Tyler admitted quietly. "I check mine like 50 times a day. Sometimes I'm checking it and I don't even know why. I just do it, like a reflex." Around them, other pairs were testing their robots. Some worked perfectly, others barely functioned. Sophie's robot just spun in circles, making everyone laugh, but nobody complained about missing their phones. They were too busy creating. At the end of the day, Maria gathered everyone to demonstrate their robots on an obstacle course. Some succeeded, some failed spectacularly. Maya and Tyler's robot made it about halfway through before getting stuck under a low table. "Good effort," Maria said. "Tomorrow you can improve it. Tonight, check the chart. You've all earned screen time from today's work." The kids rushed to look at the chart. Most had earned between 1 and 2 hours of phone time through various challenges completed throughout the day. "You can use your earned time tonight in the common room," Maria said. 30-minute blocks. Don't waste it." That evening, kids took turns using their phones in 30-minute sessions. Maya called her mother. Hearing her mom's voice made her eyes water. "How is it, sweetheart?" her mother asked. "Hard, really hard, but good." Maya didn't know how else to explain it. "Your father would be so proud of you." After the call, Maya had an hour of earned phone time left. She could check social media, watch videos, play games. But suddenly none of that seemed interesting. Instead, she found herself back at the workshop, improving the robot's programming with Tyler. "You're not using your phone time?" Tyler asked. "This is more fun," Maya said honestly. Tyler nodded. "Yeah, it really is." Later that night, back in Cabin 1, the girls talked in the darkness. "I can't believe I'm saying this," Sophie said, "but I didn't really miss my phone today. Is something wrong with me?" "Nothing's wrong," Priya said. "My dad's always on his phone during dinner. He thinks I don't notice, but I do. It makes me feel invisible. Today reminded me of when I was little before smartphones, when we used to actually talk to each other." "My parents are the same way," Hannah admitted. "Both of them work at Tesla, and they're always on their phones, always checking emails or stock prices or news. Sometimes I think they care more about their phones than about me." Maya listened to her cabin mates share their stories. Everyone had the same experience: parents distracted, families disconnected, life happening through screens instead of through actual living. "Rule number 5 makes sense now," Maya said. "Technology is a tool, not a toy. We're supposed to use it for creating and learning, not for wasting hours on nothing." "But everyone uses phones that way," Sophie said. "Maybe that's the problem," Priya replied. "Maybe everyone's doing it wrong." Maria's voice came from outside the cabin. "Lights out in 5 minutes." The girls quickly got ready for bed. Maya pulled out her father's notebook again and reread his message about not letting screens steal her life. He'd understood this problem years ago. He'd wanted to protect her from it. That's why he'd made sure she'd come to the academy, where she'd learn to use technology purposefully instead of mindlessly. As Maya drifted off to sleep, she realized something startling. She'd been at the academy for only 2 days, but already she felt different, clearer, more focused. Like she'd been living in a fog before, and now the fog was lifting. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new rules, new lessons. But tonight, Maya felt grateful. Grateful for her father's wisdom, grateful for Maria's guidance, grateful for the chance to learn how to live differently. Outside, an owl hooted in the darkness. Maya smiled and let sleep take her. Maya woke to shouting outside her cabin. She jumped out of bed and looked through the window. Lucas stood in the middle of the yard, yelling at another boy she didn't know well, a tall kid named Marcus. "You cheated," Lucas shouted. "You said your robot could navigate the course, but it barely moved." "I never said it worked perfectly," Marcus shouted back. "Girls, stay inside," Maria's voice called calmly. She walked between the two boys. "Lucas, Marcus, my office, now." Maya watched them trudge toward the main house. Priya came to stand beside her at the window. "What happened?" Priya asked. "I'm not sure. Something about robots and cheating." At breakfast, Lucas and Marcus sat at opposite ends of the dining area, not looking at each other. Maria stood at the front, waiting for everyone to finish eating. "This morning we had a disagreement," Maria began. Lucas accused Marcus of lying about his robot's abilities. Marcus felt attacked. Both of them got angry. Does anyone want to guess what the problem was? Sophie raised her hand. They were fighting. That's the symptom, not the problem. Maria picked up a marker. The real problem is that neither of them asked enough questions. Lucas assumed Marcus was cheating without asking why the robot didn't work. Marcus assumed Lucas was being mean without asking why Lucas was upset. She wrote on the whiteboard, Rule 7, ask why at least 3 times before accepting any answer. This is called first principles thinking, Maria explained. Elon Musk uses it constantly. Instead of accepting things the way they are, you question everything until you understand the fundamental truth. I don't get it, Tyler said. Let me show you. Maria turned to Lucas. Why were you angry this morning? Because Marcus lied about his robot working. Why does that matter to you? Lucas hesitated. Because if people lie about their work, then nobody knows who's actually doing well. Why does it matter who's doing well? Because, Lucas stopped. His face changed as he thought deeper. Because I want to do well. I want to be the best. And if other people lie, then I feel like I have to lie too, or I'll look worse. There it is, Maria said gently. 3 levels down, we find the truth. You weren't angry about Marcus. You were worried about yourself. You were afraid of not being good enough. Lucas looked at his plate. Yeah, I guess so. Maria turned to Marcus. And you, why did you get defensive? Because Lucas called me a cheater. Why did that bother you? Because I'm not a cheater. I worked really hard on that robot. Why does it matter what Lucas thinks? Marcus considered this. Because I already feel like I don't belong here. Everyone else seems smarter than me. If people think I'm a cheater too, then I really don't belong. The room was silent. Maya felt a lump in her throat. She understood exactly how Marcus felt. See, Maria said. 3 questions down, and we discover that both boys were struggling with the same fear, not being good enough. That's usually what arguments are about. Not the surface problem, but the deeper fear underneath. She wrote on the board, surface, robot disagreement. 3 levels down, fear of inadequacy. Today you'll practice first principles thinking, Maria continued. You'll work in small groups. Each group must identify something that everyone knows is true, and then question it until you find out if it's actually true or just something we accept without thinking. She divided them into groups of 4. Maya ended up with Priya, Tyler, and Sophie. What should we question? Sophie asked. They sat in a circle on the grass outside, notebooks in their laps. The Texas morning was already getting warm. School, Tyler said suddenly. Everyone says we have to go to school, but why? To learn, Sophie said. Why do we need to learn? Tyler pressed. To get a good job. Why do we need a good job? To make money. Why do we need money? To survive, to have a house and food and stuff. Tyler leaned back on his hands. But is school really the only way to learn? And is a job really the only way to make money? And do we need as much stuff as we think we need to survive? Maya's mind started spinning. She'd never questioned school before. It was just something everyone did. But Tyler was right. Why did they do it that way? Elon Musk created his own school for his kids, Priya said. It's called Astronova now. It doesn't have grades or traditional classes. Students just work on solving real problems. So there are other ways to learn, Sophie said slowly. What if everything we think is required isn't actually required? Tyler said. What if we just do things because everyone else does them without ever asking why? They spent an hour questioning assumptions. Why do we need to go to college? Do we? Many successful people didn't. Why do we eat 3 meals a day? Is that actually healthier or just tradition? Why do people work jobs they hate? Fear, money, social pressure. Why can't homeless people live in tiny homes? Who decided they couldn't? That last question came from Tyler and it stopped everyone. Seriously, Tyler said. We have empty land, we have building materials, we know how to build small houses. Why don't we just do it? Money, Sophie suggested. But why does it cost so much? We could use cheap materials. Volunteers could build them. Why don't we? Laws probably, Priya said. Zoning regulations, building codes. But why do those laws exist? Tyler pushed. To keep people safe, Maya said. Or to keep homeless people away from nice neighborhoods, Tyler said quietly. In Vegas, the police always make homeless people move along. They're not allowed to sleep in parks or under bridges, but we don't give them anywhere else to go. That's not about safety. That's about not wanting to see them. The group fell silent. Tyler's eyes had gotten intense, passionate. This clearly mattered to him. Do you know someone who's homeless? Maya asked gently. Tyler nodded. My uncle. He had a good job, but then he got sick, lost his insurance, couldn't pay for medicine, lost his apartment. Now he lives in his car when he's lucky, on the street when he's not. And everyone treats him like he's invisible, like he's less than human. I'm sorry, Sophie whispered. Questioning things doesn't help him, Tyler said bitterly. What's the point of asking why if nothing changes? But that's the next step, Maya said. First you question, then you act. You can't fix a problem if you don't understand it first. Maria came by their group. How's it going? Tyler found something important, Maya said, about homelessness in tiny homes. Tyler explained his idea again, using cheap materials and volunteer labor to build simple, small homes for people who needed them. Maria listened carefully. That's excellent first principles thinking. You question why the problem exists, and you found that many of the reasons aren't good reasons. They're just the way things are. Now, what would you need to actually make this happen? I don't know, Tyler admitted. I'm just a kid. That brings us to rule number 8, Maria said. But we'll get to that later. For now, keep developing this idea. How much would materials cost? How big would each home need to be? Where could you build them? After lunch, all the groups presented their findings. Lucas's group had questioned why school days start so early in the morning. They discovered that it wasn't because of learning. Studies showed teenagers learn better later in the day, but because of old farming schedules from 100 years ago. Hannah's group questioned why girls were supposed to like certain colors and toys, while boys liked others. They'd concluded it was completely made up by toy companies to sell more products. Derek's group questioned why people needed lawns. Grass serves no purpose, Derek said in his quiet voice. It needs constant water, constant mowing, constant chemicals. We could plant native plants that need no care and help the environment. But we have lawns because everyone else has lawns. Maria listened to each presentation with full attention. When everyone finished, she stood at the front. You've all done what most adults never do, you question reality. Most people accept the world as it is. They say, that's just how things are and never dig deeper. But the people who change the world are the ones who ask why until they find the truth. She told them about how Elon Musk questioned the cost of rockets. Everyone said rockets were expensive because they were complex. But Musk asked why 3 times and discovered that the materials for rockets were actually cheap, only about 2% of the total cost. The expensive part was building them the traditional way. So he changed the way they were built. SpaceX rockets now cost a fraction of what NASA's rockets used to cost, Maria said. Not because Musk is smarter than NASA scientists, but because he questioned assumptions they accepted. She told them about Tesla. Everyone said electric cars couldn't work because the batteries were too expensive. Musk asked why batteries were expensive, then asked why again and again. Eventually, he figured out how to make them cheaper by questioning every step of the process. First principles thinking is uncomfortable, Maria said. It means admitting that things you've always believed might be wrong. It means challenging authority and tradition. But it's the only way to find real solutions. That afternoon, Maria introduced them to rule number 8. If something is important, don't wait for permission to do it. Elon Musk's children are encouraged to start projects without asking, Maria explained. If they want to build something, they build it. If they want to start a company, they start it. The rule is, build first, apologize later. If what you built is amazing, nobody will be angry. She pointed at Tyler. Your tiny homes project, don't wait for someone to give you permission. Start researching, design plans, build a prototype. If you wait for the world to say, yes, you're allowed, you'll wait forever. But I'm 14, Tyler said. I can't just start a construction company. Why not? Maria asked. Tyler opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no good answer. Let me tell you about a young person who started a company, Maria said. She pulled up a photo on her laptop and projected it on the wall. It showed a teenage girl standing next to a water filtration device. This is Gittin Jolly Rao. She invented a device to detect lead in water when she was 11 years old. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait to be older. She saw a problem after the Flint, Michigan water crisis, and she solved it. Maria showed them more examples. A boy who started a nonprofit at age 9 to provide meals to homeless people. A girl who invented a new type of bandage at age 13. Kids who wrote books, built companies, created inventions, all without waiting for adult permission. Your generation is growing up with tools we never had, Maria said. You can learn anything online. You can connect with experts worldwide. You can crowdfund money for projects. You can build amazing things from your bedroom. The only thing stopping you is the belief that you need permission. She looked at each of them. Here's the truth. If you wait until you're older to do important things, you'll wake up at 40 and realize you wasted decades. Start now, fail now, learn now, build now. The kids were dismissed to work on projects. Tyler immediately grabbed Maya and Priya. Help me design a tiny home, he said. Please, I want to actually do this. They spent the rest of the afternoon researching. They used the computers in the workshop work-related screen time so it was unlimited. They found plans for tiny houses online. They calculated material costs. They designed a simple structure, 8 feet by 10 feet, just big enough for a bed, a small table, and storage. Total materials cost about $800, Priya calculated. If we used volunteers to build it, labor would be free. $800 isn't that much, Maya said. A GoFundMe could raise that. Tyler's eyes shone with possibility. We could really do this. We could actually build a home for someone. They worked through dinner, barely noticing the food. Other kids started joining them, curious about the project. Soon they had a whole team. Tyler as the vision leader, Priya handling calculations, Maya designing the structural elements, Sophie researching legal requirements, and 3 other kids volunteering to help with different aspects. That night, Maria came to check on them. They were still in the workshop at 9 o'clock, long past bedtime. You should rest, Maria said, but she was smiling. We're almost done with the complete design, Tyler said. Just a few more minutes. Maria sat down with them. Can I tell you something about Elon Musk's children? They all looked up. They work on projects like this constantly. They don't wait for school assignments. They don't wait for their father to tell them what to do. They see problems and they solve them. Sometimes the projects fail. Sometimes they succeed. But they're always building something. Does it work? Sophie asked. Does building things actually make you smarter? Define smarter, Maria said. If you mean test scores, maybe not. But if you mean capable, able to see problems and solve them, able to turn ideas into reality, able to work with teams and persist through difficulties, then yes. Absolutely yes. She stood up. Finish your design tonight if you want. Tomorrow we'll talk about how to actually build it. You've done exactly what Rule 8 says. You found something important and you didn't wait for permission. You just started. After Maria left, the group worked for another hour. Finally, at 10 o'clock, they had a complete design. A simple tiny home with insulated walls, a small window, a door that locked, solar panels for basic electricity, and space for a bed and belongings. This could actually work, Tyler said, staring at the design on the computer screen. This could actually help my uncle and other people like him. Maya saw tears in his eyes. She understood. This wasn't just a project anymore. This was personal. This was meaningful. We're going to build it, Maya said firmly. We're going to figure out how to actually make this happen. The group nodded. They were committed now. Walking back to the cabin that night, Maya thought about first principles thinking. She'd questioned assumptions today. She'd helped Tyler question assumptions. And in the process, they'd found a real problem with a possible solution. Inside cabin 1, the other girls were already asleep. Maya changed quietly and slipped into bed. She thought about her father. Had he done this kind of thing? Had he seen problems and solved them without waiting for permission? Yes, she realized. The water filtration project in the shed, that had been exactly this. He'd seen a problem and started working on it, even though it wasn't his job, even though nobody had asked him to. He'd lived by these rules, and now Maya was learning them too. Outside, the Texas night was full of cricket songs. Maya closed her eyes, thinking about tiny homes and water filters and all the problems in the world waiting for someone to question them, to solve them, to care enough to try. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight Maya had helped create something that mattered, and that felt better than anything. Maya woke to the sound of helicopter blades cutting through the morning air. She jumped out of bed and ran to the window with the other girls. A black helicopter was landing in the field near the ranch house, kicking up dust in golden swirls. "Who's that?" Sophie asked, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "I don't know, but it looks important," Hannah said. They dressed quickly and rushed outside. All the kids were gathering, staring at the helicopter. The blades slowed and the door opened. A tall man in jeans and a faded SpaceX t-shirt stepped out. He had short hair and moved with quick, purposeful energy. Even from a distance, Maya recognized him immediately. Elon Musk. "No way," Lucas breathed beside her. "That's actually him." Maria walked across the field to greet Musk. They talked for a moment, then headed toward the main house together. Maria gestured for all the kids to follow. Inside the large common room, they sat in a circle on the floor. Musk sat in a simple chair looking at each of them. He seemed tired with dark circles under his eyes, but his gaze was sharp and focused. "I'm just here for a few hours," he said without introduction. "Needed to check on Starship preparations at the launch site. Maria told me you kids have been doing interesting work, so I thought I'd stop by." His voice was softer than Maya expected, less confident than in the videos she'd seen online, almost shy. "This brings us to rule number 9, Maria said. "Learn from experts, not just teachers." Musk smiled slightly. "I'm not sure I'm an expert at anything except making mistakes and learning from them." "You've built multiple billion-dollar companies," Lucas blurted out. "True, but that doesn't make me an expert on everything. It makes me an expert on building companies, maybe, and on working hard, definitely on failing." Musk leaned forward. "Here's what I can teach you. Most learning doesn't happen in classrooms. It happens from finding the best people in the world at something and learning directly from them." He told them about his own childhood in South Africa, how he was small and awkward and got bullied constantly, how he found escape in books. He'd read encyclopedias for fun, the entire Britannica collection. "Books were my teachers," Musk said. "Better than most of my actual teachers, honestly. I learned physics from books, learned coding from books, learned about rockets from books." "But didn't you go to college?" Priya asked. Yes, University of Pennsylvania, but I didn't learn much there that I couldn't have learned on my own. The valuable part was meeting other ambitious people. He paused. Actually, I was supposed to do a PhD at Stanford. Showed up, stayed 2 days, then dropped out to start my first company. The kids stared at him in shock. You dropped out after 2 days? Sophie asked. The internet was happening. I could either study it or build it. Seemed obvious which was more valuable. Musk shrugged. Not saying everyone should drop out of school, but if you have something important to build, don't let school stop you. School will always be there. Opportunities won't. Tyler raised his hand hesitantly. Can I ask you about something? Sure. We're designing tiny homes for homeless people. Simple structures, cheap materials, but I'm just a kid. How do I actually make it happen? Musk looked at Tyler with sudden interest. Tell me more. Tyler explained the whole project, the costs they'd calculated, the design they'd created, his uncle's situation. As he talked, Musk listened intently, not interrupting. When Tyler finished, Musk was quiet for a moment. Here's what you do, Musk finally said. Build one, just one. Don't try to solve homelessness in America. That's too big and you'll fail. Build one home for one person. Document everything, costs, time, problems you encounter. Then put it online. If it's good, people will notice. Money will come, help will come. Start with one. Tyler nodded, his eyes bright. Just start with one. Everything starts with one. One rocket, one car, one solar panel, then you make another, then another. Eventually you have thousands, but it always starts with one. Musk looked around at all the kids. What else are you working on? Maya's heart pounded. Should she mention her father's water filtration project? Before she could decide, Maria spoke up. Maya is working on something her father started before he died. James Chen, he worked on the Falcon 9 recovery system. Musk's expression changed. James Chen, yes, I remember him, good engineer. I was sorry to hear about the accident. He looked directly at Maya. What was he working on? Maya's voice came out small. A water filtration system for disaster relief. He thought SpaceX life support technology could be adapted for it. Can I see the designs? Maya ran to her cabin and grabbed her father's notebook. When she returned, Musk was talking to the other kids about their robot projects. She waited nervously until he finished. Musk took the notebook and flipped through the pages. He studied her father's drawings and calculations silently. The whole room waited. This is smart, Musk finally said. The membrane design is similar to what we use on Dragon. Your father was right, this could be adapted. He looked up at Maya. Are you continuing this work? Yes. I'm trying to, with my friends, but I don't really understand all of his notes. Who does? Musk handed the notebook back. Half the time I don't understand my own notes from 6 months ago, but that's why you find experts and ask questions. That's Rule 9. You can't know everything. Nobody can. So you find people who know what you don't know and you learn from them. He stood up and walked to the whiteboard. Let me show you how I approach learning something new. Musk drew a simple diagram, a circle in the center with lines radiating outward. Say I want to learn about battery technology. I don't start by taking a class. I find the world's best battery experts and I read everything they've written. Scientific papers, not dumbed-down articles. I read textbooks. I watch their lectures. I email them questions. And I find the best people actually building batteries and I talk to them. He added more circles connected to the center circle. Then I look at adjacent fields. Chemistry, because batteries are chemistry, materials science, manufacturing. I learn the fundamentals from multiple angles. Eventually, I understand batteries well enough to have my own insights. That's how you become an expert, by learning from other experts. But what if the experts won't talk to you? Hannah asked. Why would famous scientists respond to emails from kids? Most won't, Musk admitted. But some will, and you only need some. When I was starting SpaceX, I cold-called rocket scientists. Most ignored me. A few talked to me. Those few taught me enough to get started. He smiled. Actually, one of those scientists was at this ranch last month. That's how you get experts to help you. You're doing something interesting, and they want to see it succeed. Lucas raised his hand. Do your own kids follow all these rules? The earning meals, limited screen time, all of it. The room went silent. Everyone wanted to know the answer. Musk sat back down. Most of the time, they're kids, not robots. Sometimes they complain. Sometimes they don't want to work hard. Sometimes they just want to play video games like normal kids. And that's okay, actually. I push them hard, but not constantly. There's a balance. He looked around at their faces. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Being raised with high expectations is a gift and a burden. My kids have opportunities most kids don't have. They can meet amazing people, travel anywhere, learn anything. But they also have pressure. People expect them to be special because of who their father is. That's not fair to them. Maya thought about this. Her father had expected things from her too, expected her to be curious, to work hard, to think big. She'd always felt that pressure, but she'd also felt loved. The rules exist for a reason, Musk continued. Not to make childhood miserable, but to prepare kids for reality. The world is harsh. It doesn't care about your feelings. If you want to do something important, you have to work harder than everyone else. That's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair, but it's true. He stood up and looked at his watch. I need to get to Starbase, but let me leave you with rule number 10, because it's the most important one and the one people hate the most. Maria wrote on the whiteboard, Rule 10, work like hell. If others work 40 hours per week and you work 100, you'll achieve in 4 months what takes them a year. That's insane, Lucas said. Nobody can work 100 hours a week. I did, Musk said simply. When I was starting my first companies, I worked every waking hour. I slept at the office. I showered at the YMCA. I ate fast food at my desk. For years. That sounds horrible, Sophie said quietly. It was horrible. I don't recommend it. I'm not saying it's balanced or healthy, but I am saying it's reality if you want to change the world. Musk looked at each of them. You have to decide what matters more, comfort or impact. Most people choose comfort. They want good jobs, nice houses, peaceful lives. Nothing wrong with that. But those people don't change the world. The room was completely silent now. If you want extraordinary results, you need extraordinary effort. That's the rule, not fair, not comfortable, but true. Musk headed toward the door, then paused. Actually, let me be more clear. You don't have to work 100-hour weeks your whole life. But when you're young, when you're building something, when you're learning, that's when you can push hardest. You have energy. You have time. You have fewer responsibilities. Use those advantages. What if we burn out? Hannah asked. Then you rest and start again. Burnout is real. I've been there multiple times, but you know what's worse than burnout? Regret. Getting old and realizing you never tried, never pushed yourself, never built the thing you dreamed about. That's worse than any burnout. He opened the door and sunlight streamed in. Good luck with your projects. Tyler, build that tiny home. Maya, finish your father's work. All of you stop waiting for permission to be amazing. Just be amazing. And then he was gone, walking back toward the helicopter. The kids sat in stunned silence. Finally, Lucas spoke. Did that really just happen? Did Elon Musk actually just talk to us for an hour? Rule number 9, Maria said with a smile. Learn from experts. You just learned from one of the best entrepreneurs alive. Now the question is, what will you do with what you learned? The rest of the day felt surreal. Maya couldn't focus on anything. Her mind kept replaying Musk's words about her father. Good engineer, I remember him. Her father had been remembered by Elon Musk. That meant something. That meant her father's work had mattered. After lunch, Maria called Maya to her office again. "I have something for you," Maria said. She pulled out a folder. "Your father's final project files, the complete designs for the water filtration system. I was waiting until you were ready to see them." Maya's hands shook as she took the folder. Inside were detailed technical drawings, calculations, supply lists, manufacturing specifications. Her father had been much further along than she'd realized. He was going to present this to Elon Musk, Maria said. He had a meeting scheduled for 2 weeks after he died. He believed this system could save millions of lives. "Why didn't anyone else finish it?" Maya asked. "Because it was his project, his vision. Nobody else had the passion for it that he did." Maria looked at Maya steadily. "Except maybe his daughter." Maya spread the papers across the desk. The designs were brilliant but incomplete. There were gaps, questions her father had written in the margins, problems he hadn't solved yet. "I can't finish this," Maya whispered. "I'm 12 years old. I don't understand half of this." "Then you apply rule number 9. Find experts. Learn from them. Your father was good at asking for help when he needed it. You can be too." That evening, Maya gathered her team, Priya, Tyler, Lucas, Derek, and Sophie. She showed them her father's designs. "This is bigger than tiny homes," she said. "This is bigger than robots. This is something that could actually save lives. Will you help me?" They looked at the complex drawings, the equations, the technical specifications. It was overwhelming, way beyond what middle schoolers should be able to understand. "Yes," Priya said immediately. "I'm in," Tyler added. One by one, the others agreed. "We'll need help," Maya said. "Real engineers, experts, people who actually know what they're doing." "Then we find them," Lucas said. "We email university professors. We contact disaster relief organizations. We ask questions until we understand." Maria appeared in the doorway. "I can help with that. I know people who knew your father, people who respect his work. They might be willing to mentor you." Maya felt tears threatening but pushed them back. "When do we start?" "Tomorrow," Maria said. "Tonight you rest. Because tomorrow you're going to work harder than you've ever worked. That's rule number 10. Are you ready for that?" Maya thought about her father working late nights, coming home exhausted but satisfied. She thought about Elon Musk, sleeping at factories, building rockets and cars and solar panels. She thought about all the people who needed clean water and didn't have it. "Yes," Maya said. "I'm ready." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed with her father's notebook on her chest, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Work like hell. That's what rule number 10 said. That's what her father had done. That's what Elon Musk did. That's what anyone who wanted to change the world had to do. It wasn't fair. It wasn't balanced. But it was true. Maya made a decision in the darkness of Cabin 1. She would finish her father's project. She would work as hard as necessary. She would learn from experts. She would fail and fail and fail until she succeeded. Not because it would be easy, but because it mattered. Because 2 billion people needed clean water. Because her father had believed in this dream. And because Maya Chen was finally ready to believe in it too. Outside, the helicopter blades had long since faded into silence. But the impact of the morning's visit would last much longer. Maya had learned from an expert today. And now she knew exactly what she needed to do. Maya woke before dawn the next morning, her mind already racing with plans. She'd stayed up late studying her father's designs, and now she had questions. So many questions. At breakfast, Maria made an announcement. "Today we're doing something different. We're going to talk about money." The kids groaned. Money sounded boring compared to building robots in tiny homes. I know, Maria said with a smile. "But this is important. Let me introduce rule number 11. Money is a tool for building, not a trophy for having." She projected an image on the wall, a photo of a massive yacht. This yacht costs $300 million. Some billionaire bought it to show how rich he is. Now, contrast that with this. She showed another image, a small, plain house. Elon Musk lived in this tiny prefab home near Starbase for 2 years. It cost $50,000. He sold all his mansions and chose to live here instead. Why would he do that? Hannah asked. If I had billions of dollars, I'd want a nice house. That's exactly what we need to talk about, Maria said. What is money actually for? She gave each group of kids a hypothetical $10,000 on paper. You must create a detailed plan for this money. But there are rules. At least 50% must be invested in learning or building something. No luxury purchases. You must explain the long-term value of every dollar spent. Maya's group, herself, Priya, Tyler, and Lucas, gathered around a table with their paper money. This is easy, Lucas said immediately. I'll buy a new gaming computer, top of the line. That's $5,000 then. Wait, Maya interrupted. Would that computer help you create games or just play them? Lucas paused. Well, play them mostly, but I could learn to code. Could you learn to code on a cheaper computer? Priya asked gently. I guess. Yeah. Lucas looked deflated. It's not about punishing you, Maya said. It's about what the money does. Does it move you forward or just make you comfortable? They spent an hour debating. Lucas initially wanted expensive sneakers, designer clothes, the latest phone. Each time the group challenged him. Why do you want those things? Tyler asked. Because everyone at my school has them. I want to fit in. Why do you need to fit in? Because, Lucas stopped. I don't know, I just do. That's Rule 7 again, Maya said. Ask why 3 times. You want expensive things because other people have them. They have them because other people have them. Nobody actually knows why we do this. Lucas sat back thinking hard. You're right, that's stupid. I don't even really care about those things. I just thought I was supposed to want them. Eventually, they created a plan that felt meaningful. $2,000 for tools and materials for Tyler's tiny home prototype. $3,000 for materials and equipment for Maya's water filtration research. $2,000 for laptop computers for coding and design work, not gaming. $1,000 for books and online courses about engineering, business, and problem solving. $2,000 saved for future project needs. When they presented their plan, Maria nodded approvingly. You've understood the principle. Money isn't about having things. It's about building capacity to do important work. Tyler's group had done something similar, dedicating most of their hypothetical money to tools, materials, and learning resources. But Sophie's group had struggled. We wanted to spend some on fun things, Sophie admitted. Movies, candy, toys. Is that wrong? Not wrong, Maria said. But be honest about what it is. Entertainment is consumption, not investment. There's a place for enjoyment in life. But if you want to do important things, most of your resources should go toward building, not consuming. She told them about how Elon Musk had taken his money from selling his first company and immediately invested it all into his next companies. He could have retired at age 28, could have lived on beaches forever. Instead, he risked everything to build more companies. That seems crazy, Hannah said. It is crazy. Most rich people don't do it. They buy yachts and mansions and private jets. They spend their money showing off how much money they have. Maria pulled up more photos, massive houses, expensive cars, gold-plated everything. This is money as trophy, money as status, money that does nothing except sit there being expensive. Then she showed different images, SpaceX factories, Tesla assembly lines, solar panel installations. This is money as tool, money that builds things, money that employs people, money that solves problems. But Elon Musk is still super rich, Lucas pointed out. He has billions. True, but that money exists as company value, not personal luxury. His wealth is tied up in businesses that are trying to make electric cars mainstream, get humans to Mars, provide global internet, develop sustainable energy. The money is working, not sitting. Maria introduced them to the concept of opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend on one thing is a dollar you can't spend on something else. Every hour you waste is an hour you can't use productively. The question is always, what's the best use of this resource? After lunch, Maria shared stories about Musk's children. They don't have trust funds waiting for them, she explained. Elon has said publicly that he believes in giving people opportunities, not handouts. That includes his own kids. So they won't inherit anything? Sophie asked, shocked. I didn't say that, but he's not raising them to think money will solve their problems. He's raising them to be capable. Money or no money, they'll need to be able to work, to build, to create value. Tyler spoke up. My family doesn't have money. I never thought about it like this before. I always just wanted to have money so I could buy stuff, but maybe that's wrong. It's not wrong to want security, Maria said, but there's a difference between having enough and having excess, and there's a difference between spending money and investing it. She gave them a new challenge. Look at your own lives. What do you spend money on? Or what does your family spend money on? Is it building capacity or just consuming? Maya thought about her own apartment. After her father died, money had been tight. Her mother worked long hours at SpaceX, but engineers didn't make as much as people thought. They had a small apartment, old furniture, no fancy vacations. But her mother had always bought books, always paid for Maya's science camp, always found money for educational things. My mom invests in my learning, Maya said slowly. Even when money is tight, she prioritizes that. My parents do the opposite, Lucas admitted. They have money. We have a huge house and nice cars, but they're always stressed about bills. They spend everything they make showing off to other people. The group fell silent, processing this. That afternoon, Maria introduced rule number 12. Create more than you consume. She showed them a simple equation on the board. Creation hours per week. Consumption hours per week. For most people, Maria said, consumption wins by a lot. They spend 50 hours a week watching TV, scrolling social media, playing games, shopping. They spend maybe 1 hour creating, writing, building, making something new. What's wrong with entertainment? Hannah asked defensively. Nothing in moderation, but look at the math. If you consume 50 hours and create 1 hour, what does your life produce? Almost nothing. You're taking from the world, not adding to it. She challenged them to calculate their own ratios honestly. Most kids realized they consumed way more than they created. I probably spend 30 hours a week on video games, Tyler admitted. And 0 hours creating anything until I came here. I watch TV shows for hours every night, Sophie said. I never thought about it as consumption versus creation. I just thought of it as relaxing. Relaxation is important, Maria said, but most of you aren't relaxing. You're numbing yourselves. There's a difference. Relaxation refreshes you. Mindless consumption drains you. She told them about Elon Musk's schedule. He works about 100 hours per week, sometimes more. But even in his limited free time, he's usually reading books about physics or engineering. He's learning, creating new ideas. Even his rest time adds value. That sounds exhausting, Hannah said. It is exhausting. That's why most people don't do it. They choose comfort over impact. And that's okay, not everyone needs to change the world. But if you want to do something important, you have to create more than you consume. Maya thought about the past week at the academy. She hadn't watched any TV, barely used her phone, no social media. Instead, she'd built robots, designed water filters, helped plan tiny homes. She'd created constantly, and she felt more alive than she had in 2 years. I get it now, Maya said. After my dad died, I spent months just consuming, watching shows, scrolling through my phone, doing nothing. I thought I was sad, but really I was empty. I wasn't creating anything, so there was nothing to fill the sadness. Maria nodded. Grief is real and valid, but creation is also healing. When you build something, solve something, make something, you're adding meaning to your life. Consumption never does that. The rest of the day, the kids worked on their projects with new perspective. Tyler's group calculated that building one tiny home would take about 200 hours of labor. If they could recruit volunteers, they could complete it in a month. But where do we get $800 for materials? Tyler worried. Crowdfunding, Lucas suggested. My cousin raised money online for a school project. People donate if the cause is good. They spent hours creating a presentation about the tiny home project. Real photos of homeless people in Las Vegas. Statistics about housing costs. Their simple design plans. A budget breakdown. Maya worked with Priya on the water filtration system. They made a list of experts they needed to contact: university professors who studied membrane technology, engineers who worked on disaster relief, scientists who understood water purification chemistry. This is scary, Priya admitted. What if they don't respond? What if they think we're just kids who can't do this? Then we try someone else, Maya said. Rule 9, learn from experts. That means asking even when it's uncomfortable. That evening, Maria gathered everyone for a final discussion about money and value. Let me tell you something Elon Musk's children learn early, she said. The goal isn't to make money. The goal is to create value. Money is just what happens when you create real value for people. She drew a diagram on the board. Create value, right arrow, money follows. Not get money, right arrow, hope value happens. Most people get this backwards, Maria explained. They focus on getting rich. They choose careers based on salary. They start businesses just to make money, and usually they fail because they're not creating real value. SpaceX makes money because it creates rockets cheaper than anyone else. That's value. Tesla makes money because it makes electric cars people actually want. That's value. The money is the result, not the goal. Lucas raised his hand. So if Tyler builds tiny homes for homeless people, how does he make money? Homeless people can't pay. Good question, Maria said. Tyler creates social value, not market value. Both matter, but Tyler could get grants from cities, donations from people who care, maybe even government contracts. The money can come from the value created, even if not from direct customers. She looked at Maya. Your father's water filtration system, that creates enormous value. Millions of people need clean water. Some will be able to pay, some won't. But the value exists either way. And where there's real value, money usually finds a way to follow. As the sun set over the Texas desert, Maya sat outside with her notebook, thinking about everything she'd learned. Money wasn't what she'd thought it was. It wasn't about having things or showing off or being comfortable. It was just a tool, a way to build more, learn more, create more. Her father had understood this. He'd worked long hours for a decent salary, but he'd never cared about getting rich. He'd cared about building rockets that could reach Mars, about designing systems that could help people, about teaching his daughter to think big. Maya opened to a page in his notebook she'd never noticed before. In tiny writing at the bottom, her father had written, "Money comes and goes. Buildings crumble, companies fail, but ideas persist. Solutions last. If you build something that helps people, that value never disappears. That's what immortality actually looks like. Tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. Her father was gone, but his ideas were still here. His water filtration system could still help people. His teachings were still guiding his daughter. That was better than any amount of money. That was real wealth. "You okay?" Tyler's voice came from behind her. Maya wiped her eyes. "Yeah, just thinking about my dad." Tyler sat down beside her. "My uncle used to have money, had a house, a car, savings. Then he got sick and lost it all. Now he has nothing. Money didn't protect him." "But skills would have," Maya said slowly. "If he'd learned to create value even without money, he might have recovered." That's what we're doing here, right? Learning to create value. Learning to build things that matter. Tyler looked at the sunset. "I never had this at my regular school. We just memorized stuff for tests. Nobody taught us how to actually do anything useful." Maya nodded. That was exactly right. The academy wasn't teaching them facts. It was teaching them capability. How to think, how to work, how to create value in the world. That night, lying in bed, Maya made a list in her father's notebook. Things money can't buy. Skills, knowledge, creativity, relationships, purpose, the satisfaction of building something that matters. Things money can buy. Tools to build better. Time to learn more. Materials to create with. Opportunities to grow. Money was a tool, not a trophy. She finally understood that. And tomorrow, she would use that understanding to move forward with her father's water system, not to get rich, but to create value that could save lives. That was worth more than all the money in the world. Maya stood in the workshop 3 days later, staring at the wreckage of their rocket. Pieces of metal and plastic lay scattered across the concrete floor. Smoke still drifted from the burned fuel chamber. "I can't believe it exploded," Sophie said, her voice shaking. The past 3 days had been intense. Maria had announced a new challenge: design and launch a small rocket that must reach 1,000 feet. The kids would work in teams of 4, and they had 72 hours to complete everything from design to launch. Maya's team, herself, Luca's, Tyler, and Priya, had worked around the clock. They'd barely slept. They'd calculated trajectories, tested fuel mixtures, designed the body, built the launch mechanism. Everything had seemed perfect, until it wasn't. The rocket had launched that morning with all the kids and their parents watching. Maya's mother had driven from California to see it. She'd been so proud, taking photos, smiling for the first time in months. The countdown had been perfect. 3, 2, 1, launch. The rocket had risen about 200 feet, then suddenly veered sideways. A bright flash. An explosion, pieces falling like metallic rain. Now everyone stood in stunned silence. Tyler threw his safety goggles against the wall. 3 days wasted, 3 days of no sleep, and for what? For nothing. "It wasn't for nothing," Priya said quietly, but even she looked defeated. Maria walked over to the team. Her face was calm, not angry or disappointed. "Gather the pieces. We need to understand what happened." "What's the point?" Tyler said. "It failed, we failed." "Yes, you did, and that brings us to rule number 13. Maria wrote on a nearby whiteboard, "When you fail, fail forward. Learn the lesson and move faster." "I don't want to move faster," Tyler said. "I want to quit." "Then quit," Maria said simply. "Nobody's forcing you to stay. But before you quit, let me tell you a story." She gathered all the kids around, even the other teams who'd had successful launches. In 2006, SpaceX launched its first rocket, Falcon 1. Cost $6 million. It exploded 25 seconds after launch. Everything was destroyed. She showed them a video on her tablet, a rocket lifting off, then bursting into flames, crashing back to Earth. In 2007, they tried again. Falcon 1, second attempt. Cost another $6 million. It made it farther this time, 5 minutes of flight. Then the second stage failed. Another explosion, another total loss. The kids watched mesmerized. In 2008, third attempt. Cost $6 million more. This time it made it almost to orbit, then the first and second stages collided during separation. Total destruction. That's $18 million gone. 3 total failures. Maria paused. At this point, Elon Musk was almost bankrupt. He'd spent most of his money from selling PayPal. Tesla was failing. SpaceX was failing. He had enough money for one more rocket attempt. If it failed, SpaceX would die. Thousands of people would lose their jobs. The dream of reaching Mars would be over. What happened? Sophie asked. August 2008. Falcon 1, fourth attempt. They used every lesson learned from the previous 3 failures. They'd analyzed every piece of debris, reviewed every second of video, questioned every assumption. And this time, Maria showed them another video. A rocket launching, climbing higher and higher. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. The kids held their breath. 5 minutes passed, then 10. It reached orbit, Maria said. Perfect flight. SpaceX became the first private company to successfully launch a rocket into orbit, but only because they learned from 3 failures first. She looked at Tyler, still want to quit. Tyler picked up his safety goggles from where he'd thrown them. No, I want to find out what went wrong. The team spent the next 2 hours examining the wreckage. Maya found it first, a small crack in the fuel line connection. The pressure had been too high, the seal too weak. It had broken during flight, causing fuel to leak and ignite. "This is my fault," Lucas said. "I designed the fuel system." "It's all of our fault," Maya said. "We all approved the design. We all missed this problem." "That's not how failure works," Maria said. She'd been watching them work. "You don't assign blame. You identify the problem, understand why it happened, and fix it. Blame is useless. Learning is everything." She introduced them to the concept of failure analysis. Every time SpaceX has a failure, they create a detailed report. What happened? Why did it happen? What assumptions were wrong? How do we prevent it next time? The failure becomes data. Data becomes knowledge. Knowledge becomes success. "So we try again?" Priya asked. "You try again, but smarter this time." Maria checked her watch. "You have until tomorrow at sunset. Redesign the fuel system, stronger connections, better seals, build it, test it, launch it." "That's not enough time," Lucas protested. "SpaceX once rebuilt an entire rocket in 3 days after a failure. If they can do it, you can too." Maria smiled. "Rule number 10, remember, work like hell. Tonight you'll work harder than you've ever worked." The team looked at each other. They were exhausted already. The thought of pulling an all-nighter seemed impossible, but Maya thought about her father. How many rockets had failed before he helped create the Falcon 9 recovery system? How many late nights had he worked, solving problems, learning from failures? "Let's do it," Maya said. "Let's fix this thing." They worked through the afternoon, redesigning the fuel line connections. Lucas sketched new designs while Priya ran calculations. Maya and Tyler gathered materials and tools. Around them, other teams worked on their own projects. Hannah's team was building their tiny home prototype in the corner of the workshop. They'd raised $1,200 through crowdfunding in just 3 days, enough for materials and then some. As evening fell, Maya's mother brought them dinner sandwiches from a nearby town. She sat with Maya while the team ate quickly. "You okay, honey?" her mother asked. "I know the explosion was disappointing." "It was, but we're going to fix it." Maya bit into her sandwich. "Did Dad ever have rockets fail?" Her mother smiled sadly. "All the time. I remember one night he came home completely covered in soot. A test engine had caught fire. Everyone had to evacuate the building. He was exhausted and frustrated and smelled like smoke. But you know what he said? What? He said failure data is the best data. He was actually excited about the failure because it taught them something they didn't know before. Her mother touched Maya's hand. He'd be so proud of how you're handling this. You're not quitting. You're learning. That's exactly what he would do. After dinner, the team returned to work. They built a completely new fuel system with triple reinforced connections. They tested each seal individually. They checked and rechecked every calculation. At midnight, Tyler made coffee in the ranch kitchen. They weren't supposed to drink coffee, but Maria pretended not to notice. They needed the caffeine. My hands are shaking, Priya said, trying to solder a wire. Mine too, Maya admitted. But we're almost done. By 3 in the morning, they had a new rocket. It looked similar to the old one, but the fuel system was completely redesigned. Stronger, safer, better. Should we sleep? Lucas asked. For a few hours, Maya said. We need to test this at dawn. They collapsed in the common room, too tired to walk to their cabins. Maya fell asleep on a couch, her father's notebook tucked under her head like a pillow. She dreamed of rockets, hundreds of them, launching and exploding, until finally one soared perfectly into the sky and disappeared among the stars. She woke to Maria shaking her shoulder. It's 6 o'clock, time to test. The team stumbled outside into the cool dawn. Their eyes were red and tired, but their minds were focused. They set up the rocket on the launch pad, a cleared area far from the buildings. We're testing the fuel system first, Maya said. Not a full launch, just to make sure the connections hold under pressure. They filled the fuel chamber and pressurized it. Everyone held their breath. The connections held. No leaks, no cracks. Okay, Tyler said. Okay, this might actually work. They spent the day preparing for a full launch. Other kids came to watch, curious about the team that had failed so spectacularly yesterday. Some offered encouragement, others just stared. Pressure, Lucas muttered. So much pressure. Pressure creates diamonds, Priya said. Or it breaks coal into dust. We get to choose which we are. At 4 o'clock, as the Texas sun began its descent, they were ready. Parents gathered again, including Maya's mother. Maria stood with a stopwatch and altimeter to measure the rocket's height. The team did a final check. Everything looked perfect. But they'd thought that yesterday too. We've done everything we can, Maya said. Now we trust our work. They armed the launch system, stepped back to a safe distance. Maya's finger hovered over the button. 3, she counted, her voice shook. 2, please work, she thought, please. 1. She pressed the button. The rocket ignited, flames shot from the base. It lifted off the pad, rising smoothly. 10 feet, 20 feet, 50 feet. Come on, Tyler whispered. 100 feet, 200. The rocket climbed steadily, straight as an arrow. No wobbling, no veering, just pure, beautiful flight. 300 feet, 500. The fuel burned bright and clean. 700 feet, 900. The engine cut off at exactly the right moment. The rocket coasted upward on momentum, reaching its peak at 1,050 feet according to Maria's altimeter. Then it began to fall exactly as designed. A small parachute deployed. The rocket drifted gently back to Earth, landing softly in the grass. Perfect flight, perfect landing. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Lucas screamed. Tyler jumped up and down. Priya burst into tears. Maya stood frozen, unable to believe it had actually worked. They rushed to each other, hugging and crying and laughing all at once. Maya's mother ran over and grabbed her daughter, holding her tight. You did it, her mother sobbed. Baby, you did it. We failed first, Maya said. We had to fail first. Maria walked over with the recovered rocket. You've learned rule number 13. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of success. You failed yesterday, learned the lesson, and succeeded today. That's how growth works. She gathered all the kids for an evening meeting. The sun was setting, painting the Texas sky in oranges and purples. "Today you saw what real engineering looks like," Maria said. "Not perfect designs that work the first time, but failing, analyzing, improving, and trying again. That's the process. That's how everything great gets built." She introduced a new rule, rule number 14, respect Earth while reaching for the stars. "This seems unrelated to today," Hannah said. "It's not. You built rockets today reaching for the stars, but look around you." Maria gestured at the Texas landscape. "This is our only home. We can't love space exploration and hate environmental protection. They're the same thing, caring about survival." She took them on a walk to the beach near Boca Chica. The Gulf of Mexico stretched out before them, beautiful in the fading light. But the beach was littered with trash. Plastic bottles, bags, food wrappers, fishing line. "This is what humans do," Maria said sadly. "We create, but we also destroy. We build rockets to reach Mars, but we poison the planet we're standing on." "Why don't people clean it up?" Sophie asked. "Why don't you?" Maria replied. "It's not someone else's job, it's everyone's job." They spent the next hour cleaning the beach. Maya was shocked by how much trash they found. Bottles buried in sand, plastic bags tangled in seaweed, tiny microplastics everywhere. "Elon Musk's children are taught environmental responsibility," Maria said as they worked. "Electric cars, solar power, sustainable energy, these aren't just business ideas. They're about survival. You can't have a future in space if you destroy your planet first." Tyler found a sea turtle tangled in fishing line. They carefully freed it and watched it crawl back to the ocean. "That's why this matters," Tyler said quietly. "That turtle almost died because someone was careless with their trash." As darkness fell, they carried bags of collected trash back to the ranch. Maya's arms ached. Her whole body ached from the sleepless night and long day. But she felt good, clean somehow. That night, Maria gathered them one final time. "Tomorrow is your last week here at the academy," she said. "You've learned 13 rules so far, 2 more remain, and you have 1 week to complete your final projects." She looked at Maya. "Your father's water filtration system, can you have a working prototype in 1 week?" Maya's heart pounded. I don't know, maybe." "Tyler, can you finish building one tiny home?" "We're close. Yeah, I think so." "Then that's your challenge. 1 week, make something real, not a plan or a design, something that actually works and actually helps people." Maria smiled. "You've learned the rules, now prove you can live by them." Walking back to cabin 1 that night, Maya felt the weight of the challenge. 1 week to finish what her father had started. 1 week to create something that could save lives. It seemed impossible. But then again, so had fixing the rocket in 1 night. So had building a tiny home. So had learning to question everything and work without screens and earn every meal. Everything had seemed impossible at first. Maya looked up at the stars, real stars, not the glow-in-the-dark ones from her childhood ceiling. Somewhere up there, rockets were orbiting. Satellites were transmitting. The International Space Station was passing overhead with humans inside. All of that had seemed impossible once too. She thought about her father's words, "Ideas persist, solutions last." Her father's idea was still here, still alive, still possible, and Maya had 1 week to make it real. "You coming?" Priya called from the cabin door. "Yeah," Maya said, "just looking at the stars." "They're beautiful tonight." They are, and someday humans will walk among them, because people failed and learned and tried again, just like we did today. Maya walked inside, ready to sleep and dream of water systems and clean beaches and stars that humans would one day reach. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Maya woke to someone tapping on the cabin window. She sat up, disoriented. The room was dark, still hours before dawn. Through the window, she could see Maria's silhouette against the starlit sky. Maya slipped out of bed carefully, not wanting to wake the other girls. She pulled on a sweatshirt and shoes and crept outside. "Follow me," Maria whispered. "Bring your father's notebook." They walked across the dark ranch, past the main house, toward a small shed Maya had noticed before but never entered. It was locked with a heavy padlock. Maria pulled out a key, a real key, made of brass with wings etched into the metal. Maya's breath caught. "That's the symbol, the winged key from my dad's notebook." "I know." Maria unlocked the shed. "Your father worked here on weekends. Nobody else knew about this space except me and him. He swore me to secrecy." Inside, Maria flicked on a light. The shed was actually a small workshop filled with equipment and parts. On a workbench in the center sat a partially built device, tubes, filters, pumps, and chambers all connected together. "Is that?" Maya couldn't finish the sentence. "Your father's water filtration prototype. The actual physical system, not just designs on paper." Maria walked to the workbench. "He was about 70% done when he died. Everything you need to finish it is here." Maya approached slowly, almost afraid to touch it. This was her father's last project. His hands had assembled these parts, connected these tubes, tested these filters. "Why didn't you show me this before?" Maya asked, tears streaming down her face. "Because you weren't ready. You needed to learn the rules first. You needed to understand failure, hard work, first principles thinking. You needed to become the kind of person who could finish this." Maria put a hand on Maya's shoulder. "You are that person now." Maya examined the device. It was more complex than she'd imagined. Multiple filtration stages, pressure chambers, flow regulators, monitoring sensors. But looking at her father's designs, she could see how it all fit together. "The final 30% is the hardest part," Maria said. "Your father was stuck on the membrane technology. He couldn't get the right combination of flow rate and filtration effectiveness. Too slow and it's useless in emergencies. Too fast and it doesn't remove enough contaminants. That's what SpaceX solves for life support systems," Maya said slowly. "On the Dragon capsule, they need fast, effective filtration in zero gravity." "Exactly. That's why your father wanted to meet with Elon Musk. He thought SpaceX might have already solved this problem for space, and the solution could be adapted for Earth." Maria pulled out a folder. "These are contacts at SpaceX, engineers who work on life support systems. I've arranged for you to video call them tomorrow. They've agreed to consult on the project." Maya's hands shook as she took the folder. "They'll actually help me." "Your father was well loved at SpaceX. People remember him. When they heard his daughter was trying to finish his work, they volunteered immediately." Maria checked her watch. "It's almost 5. In 1 hour, the others will wake up. You need to decide something." "What? Do you want to do this alone or with your team?" Maya thought about Priya's calculations, Tyler's determination, Lucas's design skills. She thought about what they'd learned about working together. "With my team, I can't do this alone." "Good answer," Maria smiled. "Your father couldn't have done it alone either. Nobody builds important things alone." They walked back to the cabins as dawn began to break. Maya clutched her father's notebook, her mind racing with plans and possibilities. At breakfast, Maya gathered her core team, Priya, Tyler, Lucas, and now Sophie, who'd proven surprisingly good at organizing and documenting their work. "I need to show you something," Maya said. She led them to the shed. When they saw the prototype, everyone fell silent. "This is what we're finishing this week," Maya said. "My dad built most of it. We build the rest." "This is incredible," Priya breathed, examining the system. "The engineering is brilliant." "It's also incomplete," Lucas pointed out. "Look here, these connections aren't finished. And there's no control system for regulating flow." "That's where we come in." Maya spread her father's designs across the workbench. We have 1 week, and we have help. She told them about the SpaceX engineers who'd agreed to consult, about the membrane technology challenge, about the goal: create a working prototype that could purify water fast enough for emergency situations and clean enough to save lives. If we do this, Maya said, we name it the Chen system, after my dad, and we make it open source, free designs that anyone can use. No patents, no profits, just helping people. Tyler looked at her with respect. That's the rule about money being a tool, not a trophy, right? Exactly. My dad didn't do this to get rich. He did it to help people. That's what we do too. They spent the morning planning. Priya created a detailed task list. Lucas designed the missing components. Sophie set up a documentation system to record every step. Tyler worked on building physical parts they'd need. At noon, they had their first video call with the SpaceX engineers. 3 people appeared on the screen, 2 men and a woman, all wearing SpaceX shirts, all sitting in what looked like a lab. "You must be Maya," the woman said. She had gray hair and kind eyes. "I'm Dr. Sarah Rodriguez. I worked with your father for 5 years. He was one of the best engineers I ever knew." Maya's throat tightened. "Thank you, that means a lot. Show us what you have so far." Maya positioned the camera to show the prototype. The engineers leaned in, examining the design. "Impressive," one of the men said. "He got farther than I realized. The pre-filtration stages are excellent. The problem is the final membrane stage, right?" "Right," Maya confirmed. "He couldn't get the right flow rate without sacrificing filtration quality." Dr. Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. "We solved a similar problem on Dragon using a dual membrane system. One membrane for coarse filtration at high speed, a second membrane for fine filtration at lower speed. The 2-stage approach gives you both speed and quality." She pulled up technical diagrams and walked them through the solution. It was complex, but Maya thought she understood the principle. Priya took furious notes. "Do you have access to the membrane materials?" the other engineer asked. "No," Maya admitted. "That's a problem." "Let me see what I can do. I might be able to get some samples sent to you. For research purposes only, you understand." After the call, the team felt energized. They finally had a path forward. 2 membrane stages, Priya said, recalculating. "That's more complex but definitely doable." They worked through the afternoon. Lucas designed the housing for the dual membrane system. Tyler helped Maya assemble the structural components. Sophie researched suppliers for parts they still needed. Around 4 o'clock, a delivery truck arrived at the ranch. Maria signed for a large package addressed to Maya. Inside were membrane materials from SpaceX and a note: "Your father would be proud. Make this work. Dr. Rodriguez." Maya held the membranes carefully. These were the same materials used on spacecraft, materials that kept astronauts alive in space. Now they'd help keep people alive on Earth. The team worked into the evening. They modified the prototype to accommodate 2 membrane stages. They connected new tubing. They installed pressure regulators and flow meters. By midnight, they had a complete system, but they didn't know if it would work. "We test it tomorrow," Maya said, "with actual contaminated water." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about her father working in this same shed, solving these same problems. Had he stayed up late like this, too excited to sleep? Had he worried it wouldn't work? She got out of bed and returned to the shed. The prototype sat on the workbench, illuminated by a single lamp. Maya touched the metal housing, feeling the cool metal under her fingers. "I'm trying, Dad," she whispered. "I'm trying to finish what you started." A sound behind her made her jump. Tyler stood in the doorway. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "Too nervous about tomorrow?" Tyler walked over and examined the prototype. "This is really good work, Maya, like professional level good. Your dad would be proud." "How do you know?" Because I'm proud and I barely know you, Tyler smiled. A month ago, I was just some kid wasting his life on video games. Now I'm building tiny homes and helping create water filtration systems. You did that. You and this place. The rules did that, Maya corrected. We just learned to follow them. Maybe, but you're the one who brought us together, who made us believe we could actually do important things. Tyler looked at her seriously. Tomorrow, when we test this, it's going to work. I can feel it. What if it doesn't? Then we fail forward, learn the lesson, and try again. That's Rule 13. We've failed before. We can fail again. Tyler headed toward the door. But I don't think we will, not this time. After he left, Maya sat alone with the prototype. She pulled out her father's notebook and found the page with the winged key symbol. Underneath it, he'd written something she'd missed before in tiny letters. Knowledge that lifts humanity starts with one person willing to try, then another, until everyone is flying. Maya understood now. Her father had started this. She was continuing it, and someday others would continue it further. That's how important things happened, through chains of people who cared enough to try. The next morning, the team gathered at the shed with Maria and several other kids who'd heard about the project. They'd prepared contaminated water samples, pond water mixed with dirt, bacteria, and chemicals to simulate disaster conditions. This is the real test, Maria said. Can it produce clean water fast enough to be useful in emergencies? They connected the system to a power source. Maya's hands trembled as she poured contaminated water into the input chamber. It looked brown and murky, completely undrinkable. Here we go, Lucas said. Maya flipped the switch. The system hummed to life. Pumps engaged. Water began flowing through the tubes, visible through clear sections. First stage filtration, then second stage, then the dual membrane system. For 30 seconds, nothing came out the output tube. Then a trickle of water emerged. Clear water. It looked clean, but that didn't mean it was safe. They let the system run for 5 minutes, collecting the output in a clean container. The flow rate was good, faster than Maya had expected. The water looked perfect. We need to test it, Priya said. She had brought test strips that could detect bacteria and contaminants. They ran the tests. Everyone held their breath. The strips came back clean. No bacteria, no harmful chemicals, just pure, drinkable water. It works, Sophie whispered. It actually works. How much water can it produce per hour? Maria asked. Priya calculated based on the flow rate. About 50 gallons per hour. That's enough for 250 people per day, assuming 2 cups of drinking water per person. And the cost to build 1 unit, Maria pressed. Lucas checked their materials list. About $400 in parts, maybe less if manufactured at scale. Maria nodded slowly. So for $400 and basic training, disaster relief organizations could provide clean water to hundreds of people per day. That was my father's vision, Maya said. Affordable, effective, deployable anywhere. You've done it, Maria said. You've actually done it. Team erupted in celebration. They hugged each other, crying and laughing. Maya felt her father's presence so strongly it almost hurt. He was here, he was seeing this. Somehow, impossibly, he was proud. That afternoon, Maria made an announcement to all the kids. In 3 days, we have a presentation day. Important people will attend: investors, disaster relief experts, business leaders, and Elon Musk. Each team will present their final project. This is your chance to show the world what you've built. She looked at Maya. The Chen water filtration system will be the featured presentation. Are you ready? Maya thought about everything she'd learned. The rules, the failures, the late nights, the teamwork, the discovery of her father's secret workshop. Yes, she said, I'm ready. But that night, alone in her cabin, doubt crept in. What if the prototype had just gotten lucky? What if it didn't work consistently? What if she failed in front of all those important people? What if she let her father down? She pulled out his notebook and read through his notes again. On the very last page, he'd written something dated just days before his death. Maya, if you're reading this, it means I didn't finish this project. I'm sorry. I wanted to complete it for you to show you that impossible dreams can become reality, but maybe it's better this way. Maybe you finishing it will teach you more than me finishing it ever could. Here's what I learned building this. Every great achievement starts with someone willing to fail. Most people never try because they're afraid of failure. But you're not most people, Maya. You're my daughter. You're brave enough to fail. And that means you're brave enough to succeed. I love you. I believe in you. Now believe in yourself. Dad. Maya closed the notebook and held it to her chest. She cried quietly, letting the grief and love and fear all wash over her. Then she wiped her eyes and made a decision. She would present the Chen system in 3 days. She would show the world what her father had started and what she had finished. She would prove that even kids could solve important problems, not because it was easy, but because it mattered. Tomorrow, she would practice her presentation. She would test the system again and again to make sure it was reliable. She would work harder than she'd ever worked. But tonight, she would sleep, because she'd learned rule number 10, work like hell, yes, but also rest when you need to. Her father had worked too hard and never rested. Maybe that's why he'd been driving home exhausted that night. Maybe that's why the accident happened. Maya wouldn't make that mistake. She would work hard and rest hard. She would push herself and also take care of herself. Balance. That was the secret rule nobody had mentioned yet. Outside, the Texas night was peaceful. In 3 days, everything would change. But for now, Maya let herself just be a 12-year-old girl who missed her father and was trying to make him proud. She fell asleep with a smile on her face, dreaming of clean water flowing to people who needed it, flowing forever like her father's love. Maya woke to sunlight streaming through the cabin window and voices outside. She checked her watch, 8 o'clock. She'd slept later than she had in weeks. Outside, a crowd had gathered near the shed. Maya dressed quickly and ran out to see what was happening. Tyler stood beside a wooden structure about the size of a large closet. It had walls, a roof, a door with a lock, and a small window. His tiny home prototype. "We finished it last night," Tyler said, his face glowing with pride. "Want to see inside?" Maya stepped through the doorway. The space was tiny but functional. A narrow bed frame on one side, a small shelf for belongings, hooks on the wall for hanging clothes, a solar panel on the roof connected to a battery that could charge phones or power a small lamp. 8 feet by 10 feet, Tyler explained. 80 square feet total, not much, but it's shelter, it's safe, it's lockable, it's home. "How much did it cost?" Maya asked. $760 in materials. We had volunteers help build it, so labor was free. Total build time, 40 hours across 1 week. Tyler's voice swelled with emotion. "This could house someone, Maya, someone like my uncle." Hannah poked her head in the door. "Tyler, that reporter is here. She wants to interview you." A woman with a camera crew stood outside. She worked for a local Austin news station and had heard about the Academy's projects. She'd come to do a story on Tyler's tiny home. Maya watched as Tyler answered questions confidently, explaining the concept, the costs, the need. He wasn't the angry, defeated kid from 3 weeks ago. He was a builder now, a problem solver, someone who saw obstacles and figured out how to overcome them. After the interview, Maria gathered Maya's team. 2 days until presentations, she said. The Chen system needs to be tested multiple times to prove it's reliable. You also need to prepare your pitch. Who's presenting? Maya should, Lucas said immediately. The others nodded. Me. I'm not good at public speaking, Maya protested. Your father's project, your presentation. Priya squeezed her hand. We'll help you prepare, but you need to be the one talking. They spent the morning testing the water filtration system again and again. Each time it produced clean, safe water. The flow rate remained consistent. The membranes held up under pressure. Everything worked perfectly. In the afternoon, they practiced Maya's presentation. She stood in front of the group, note cards shaking in her hands. 2 billion people lack access to clean water, she began, her voice barely a whisper. Louder, Lucas called out. Maya tried again. 2 billion people lack access to clean water. That's more than. Don't just read the facts, Sophie interrupted. Tell us why it matters to you. Maya put down her note cards. She took a deep breath. My father died 2 years ago. He was driving home from SpaceX after working late on this project. He was exhausted because he'd been working double shifts, his regular job during the day and this water system at night. He died before finishing it, before seeing if it would work, before helping anyone. Her voice grew stronger as she continued. For 2 years, I've been angry that he left me. Angry that he worked so hard on things that didn't matter to our family. But now I understand this did matter to our family. Because caring about people you'll never meet, solving problems that don't affect you personally, that's what makes us human. My father taught me that. And this system is his legacy. The room was silent. Even Maria had tears in her eyes. That's the presentation, Tyler said quietly. That's what people need to hear. They practiced several more times. Maya refined her words, learned to speak clearly, prepared to answer technical questions. By evening, she felt almost ready. That night, all the kids gathered for a final dinner together. Tomorrow would be spent preparing. The next day was the big presentation. Then everyone would go home, back to their regular lives. I don't want this to end, Sophie said sadly. At home, nobody understands what we learned here. Then teach them, Maria said. She stood at the head of the long table. You've learned 14 rules here, but there's one more, the final rule, the most important one. She wrote on a large board, Rule 15. Think about humanity's future, not just your own. Elon Musk tells his children, you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to make humanity multiplanetary and solve Earth's biggest problems. Maria looked at each kid. That's a heavy burden for anyone, especially children. But it's also the greatest gift, purpose. She sat down at the table. Most people go through life thinking only about themselves, their comfort, their success, their happiness. Nothing wrong with that, survival is important. But the people who change the world are the ones who think bigger, who ask, how can I help humanity survive? How can I solve problems that affect millions? How can I leave the world better than I found it? That seems impossible for kids, Hannah said. Is it? Tyler built a home for homeless people. Maya created a water filtration system for disaster relief. Sophie documented everything so others can learn from your work. Priya-calculated solutions to problems most adults can't solve. Lucas designed systems that work in the real world, not just on paper. Maria gestured around the table. Every single person here has created something that helps humanity. You're not just thinking about yourselves anymore. You're thinking about the future. That's the final rule. That's the ultimate lesson. She told them stories about Musk's children, how they'd visited refugee camps and seen poverty firsthand, how they'd learned about climate change and extinction and all the problems humanity faced, how their father had taught them that having privilege meant having responsibility. It's not fair, Maria admitted. You're kids. You should be playing and having fun and not worrying about saving the world. But here's the truth. The problems we face are so big that everyone needs to help solve them. Even kids, especially kids, because you're the ones who'll inherit whatever mess we leave behind. Table fell quiet. The weight of it settled on Maya's shoulders. She thought about her father who'd worked himself to exhaustion trying to help people he'd never meet. Was that noble or foolish? Was that the right way to live? Then she thought about the alternative, living only for herself, never trying to help anyone, never building anything that mattered. That seemed worse than exhaustion. That seemed like emptiness. I understand now, Maya said slowly. My dad didn't die working on something pointless. He died working on something important. That doesn't make it hurt less, but it means his life had meaning, and finishing his work gives my life meaning too. Exactly, Maria said. Purpose doesn't eliminate pain, but it makes pain worthwhile. After dinner, the kids worked late into the night on final preparations. Maya's team polished the Chen system until it gleamed. Tyler's team added final touches to the tiny home. Other teams finished their own projects, a coding curriculum for underfunded schools, a recycling system for plastics, a tutoring program for younger kids. Every project thought beyond the individual. Every project tried to help humanity in some small way. At midnight, Maria finally sent everyone to bed. Big day tomorrow, rest. But Maya couldn't rest. She walked out to the field and lay in the grass staring up at the stars. The Texas sky was so clear, so full of light. Millions of stars, billions probably. Somewhere up there, the International Space Station was orbiting. Humans living in space, surviving where they shouldn't be able to survive. All because people had worked hard, failed repeatedly, and kept trying. Someday, humans would walk on Mars, would build cities on the moon, would spread across the solar system and maybe beyond. Not in Maya's lifetime, probably, but someday. And water systems like her father's would go with them, because humans needed water everywhere on Earth, in space, on other planets. Solving that problem here helped solve it everywhere. That was thinking about humanity's future. Not just her own life, her own needs, her own small world, but the big picture, the long term, the species. Can't sleep either. Maya sat up. Lucas walked over and sat beside her in the grass. Too much thinking, Maya said. Same. Lucas lay back, hands behind his head. I've been thinking about what happens after we leave here. I go back to California, back to my regular school where nobody cares about building things or solving problems. Back to friends who only care about likes and follows and stupid drama. It'll be hard, Maya agreed. I don't want to lose this feeling, Lucas said. This sense that I can actually do important things, that my life can matter beyond just existing. Maya understood perfectly. Then don't lose it, take the rules with you, keep building, keep creating, keep thinking about the future. What if people think I'm weird? Then you're weird, so what? Maya smiled. My dad was weird. He worked on water systems while everyone else watched TV. Elon Musk is weird. He wants to live on Mars while everyone else is happy with Earth. Weird people change the world. Lucas laughed. Okay, I'll be weird then. They lay in the grass watching stars. After a while, others joined them: Priya, Tyler, Sophie, Hannah, Derek. Soon a dozen kids lay in the field, silent and thoughtful, looking at the universe. What do you think happens tomorrow? Sophie asked. We show people what we've built, Maya said. And then whatever happens, happens. Maybe investors fund our projects, maybe not. Maybe we change lives, maybe we don't, but we tried. That's what matters. Your dad would be proud, Tyler said. I think he already is, Maya replied. The next day was a blur of final preparations. They cleaned the workshop, organized displays, rehearsed presentations. News crews arrived from multiple stations. The tiny home story had gone viral online, and now everyone wanted to cover the Academy's final presentations. Maya's mother arrived at noon, along with dozens of other parents. Maya ran to hug her. I'm so nervous, Mom. I know, baby, but you've got this. Your father believed in you. I believe in you. Now you need to believe in yourself. That evening, the presentation space was set up. Chairs arranged in rows. A stage at the front. Display tables showing each team's project. Over 200 people filled the space: parents, reporters, business leaders, engineers from SpaceX and Tesla, representatives from disaster relief organizations. And in the front row, wearing jeans and a black t-shirt, sat Elon Musk. Maya's heart hammered in her chest. This was it. This was the moment everything had been building toward. Maria walked on stage and welcomed everyone. She explained the Academy's purpose, the 15 rules, the philosophy of learning through doing. These kids have spent 6 weeks working harder than most adults work, Maria said. They've failed repeatedly and succeeded finally. They've learned that comfort is the enemy of greatness, that failure is a teacher, and that humanity's future depends on people willing to work on problems bigger than themselves. She introduced the first team, Sophie's group, who'd created a free coding curriculum for schools that couldn't afford computer science teachers. Their presentation was confident and clear. Tyler's team went next. Tyler explained the tiny home concept, walked everyone through the math, showed photos of the completed prototype. He talked about his uncle, about the thousands of people sleeping on streets, about how this simple solution could help. When he finished, people stood and applauded. Tyler's face flushed with pride and emotion. Then Maria called Maya to the stage. Maya walked up on shaking legs. Her team stood beside her: Priya, Lucas, Tyler, and Sophie. They'd all worked on this together. Maya looked out at the audience, at her mother crying quietly in the third row, at Elon Musk watching with focused attention, at the reporters with cameras ready, at Maria, who'd believed in her from the beginning. She thought about her father, about his hands building this system, about his dreams of helping people, about his final note telling her to believe in herself. Maya took a deep breath and began. My name is Maya Chen. My father was James Chen, a propulsion engineer at SpaceX 2 years ago. He died in a car accident while driving home after working late on a secret project. For 2 years, I didn't understand why he'd worked so hard, why he'd sacrificed time with our family to build something that didn't even exist yet. She paused, letting the emotion strengthen her voice rather than break it. Now I understand. My father was thinking about humanity's future, not just his own. He saw 2 billion people without clean water and decided to do something about it. He didn't wait for someone else to solve it. He didn't say it was too hard. He just started building. Maya gestured to the Chen system, displayed on a table beside her. This is his system, the water filtration device he designed specifically for disaster relief. It uses dual-membrane technology adapted from SpaceX life support systems. It can produce 50 gallons of clean, drinkable water per hour from almost any contaminated source. It costs $400 to build. It requires no specialized training to operate, and it could save millions of lives. She walked the audience through the technical specifications, showing videos of the system in operation. Clean water flowing from dirty input, test results proving safety, calculations showing cost efficiency. My father built 70% of this. My team and I built the final 30%. Maya looked at her friends on stage. We learned from SpaceX engineers who knew my father. We failed multiple times and learned from each failure. We worked harder than we thought possible. And we finished what he started. Her voice grew stronger. This isn't just a school project. This is a real solution to a real problem. We're making the designs open source, free for anyone to use. We're not seeking patents or profits. We're seeking impact. We want disaster relief organizations worldwide to build these systems. We want refugee camps and poor villages and anywhere people lack water to have access to this technology. Maya pulled out her father's notebook and held it up. My father wrote, "Ideas persist, solutions last. If you build something that helps people, that value never disappears." He was right. His idea persisted, his solution lasted, and now it's real. She looked directly at Elon Musk. My father wanted to present this to you before he died. He believed SpaceX technology could help Earth, not just reach Mars. He was thinking about humanity's future, following rule number 15. Now I'm presenting it for him. The Chen water filtration system is ready, and we hope it helps humanity survive and thrive, both on Earth and eventually beyond. Maya stepped back. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then everyone stood. The applause was thunderous. Maya's mother rushed to the stage, embracing her daughter. The team hugged each other, crying and laughing. Elon Musk approached the stage. He examined the Chen system closely, asking technical questions. Priya answered some. Lucas answered others. Maya fielded questions about manufacturing and deployment. Finally, Musk nodded. This is good work, really good work. Better than some professional engineering teams could do. He looked at Maya. Your father would be very proud. I'm proud and I barely know you. Thank you, Maya whispered. I have a proposition, Musk said to the crowd. SpaceX will fund production of 50 Chen systems as a pilot program. We'll donate them to disaster relief organizations and collect data on effectiveness. If they work as well as this prototype, we'll scale up production and help distribute them worldwide. The crowd erupted in applause again. Maya couldn't believe what she was hearing. Really? She asked. Really? Your father's idea deserves to become reality, and you deserve to see your work help people. Musk smiled slightly. Keep building things, Maya Chen. The world needs more people like you and your father. As the evening continued, representatives from aid organizations approached Maya's team. Several wanted to test the Chen system immediately. One organization had access to a refugee camp in Africa and wanted to deploy it there. Tyler's team received interest too. A developer in Austin wanted to fund construction of 10 tiny homes as a pilot program. Tyler couldn't stop grinning. Late that night, after everyone else had left, Maya sat in the now-empty workshop with her team and Maria. We did it, Sophie said in wonder. We actually did something that matters. You did more than that, Maria said. You proved that age doesn't limit impact. That kids can solve problems adults have given up on. That learning the right rules and working hard enough can accomplish anything. What happens now? Lucas asked. Now you go home, back to your regular lives, but you're not regular anymore. You've changed. You've learned the 15 rules. You've built things that matter. The question is, will you keep living by these rules or will you forget them? Maya looked around at her friends. A month ago, they'd been strangers. Now they were a team, a family almost. We keep building, Maya said firmly. We take the rules with us. We stay weird. We work hard. We think about the future. We keep creating more than we consume. We keep failing forward. We keep asking why. We keep earning everything through effort. And we stay in touch, Priya added. We're a team now. Distance doesn't change that. They made a pact that night. They'd video call monthly, share their projects, support each other, hold each other accountable to the rules they'd learned. Walking back to the cabins for the last time, Maya felt strange. Sad to leave, but excited for what came next. The academy had changed her completely. She wasn't the lonely, grieving girl who'd arrived 6 weeks ago. She was a builder now, a problem solver, someone who thought about humanity's future. Her father's daughter, truly. In cabin 1, the girls stayed up late talking. What will you do first when you get home? Hannah asked. Sleep, Sophie laughed. In my own bed, without 4 other people snoring. I'm going to hug my dad, Priya said, and tell him I appreciate his hard work even when it means he's not home much. I understand now. Maya smiled. I'm going to put my father's notebook somewhere safe, and then I'm going to start planning the next project. Because finishing his work doesn't mean I stop working. It means I keep going, keep building, keep trying to help. As she finally fell asleep that last night, Maya dreamed of her father one more time. But this time, he wasn't trying to tell her something. He was just there, smiling, proud, at peace. And Maya was at peace too. She'd finished his work. She'd learned his lessons. She'd become the person he'd believed she could be. Tomorrow, she'd go home. But home would be different now, because Maya was different. Forever changed by 6 weeks at the academy, by 15 rules that shaped how she saw the world, by friends who'd become family, and by finally understanding what her father had been trying to teach her all along. The future belonged to people who worked for it, and Maya Chen was ready to work. Maya's alarm went off at 6 in the morning, her last morning at the academy. Outside the cabin window, the Texas sun was just beginning to paint the sky orange and pink. The other girls stirred in their beds. Nobody wanted to get up. Nobody wanted this to end. 5 more minutes, Sophie mumbled into her pillow, but Maria's voice came through the cabin door. Breakfast in 30 minutes. Then we have one final session before your parents take you home. Maya dressed slowly, savoring each moment. She folded her clothes carefully, packed her bag, and tucked her father's notebook into the side pocket where she could easily reach it. At breakfast, the dining hall was quieter than usual. Kids ate slowly, looking around at the space that had become home. Tyler sat alone, staring at his eggs without eating. Lucas kept checking his phone, then putting it down, then picking it up again. "Weird, right?" Lucas said when Maya sat beside him. "Having unlimited phone access again. I checked Instagram this morning and just felt empty, like it didn't matter anymore." "That's because it doesn't," Maya said gently. "Not compared to real things, real building, real problems, real friendships." After breakfast, Maria gathered everyone in the common room one last time. She didn't stand at the front like a teacher. Instead, she sat in a circle with the kids like equals. "We need to talk about what happens next," Maria began. "You've spent 6 weeks here learning 15 rules, but rules without practice become forgotten. Knowledge without application becomes useless." She looked around the circle. "Here's what I haven't told you yet. The academy isn't just 6 weeks, it's forever. You're part of a network now. A community of young people who think differently, who work harder, who care about the future." Maria pulled out a folder for each kid. Inside were contact lists of every student who'd ever attended the academy. Names, emails, phone numbers, hundreds of them. "These are your people now," Maria said. "When you need help with a project, reach out. When you're struggling to remember the rules, call someone. When the world tries to convince you to be ordinary, talk to someone who understands. You're not alone." She also gave them access to an online platform where academy students shared projects, asked for advice, and collaborated across distances. It was like social media, but purposeful. Every post was about building something, solving something, learning something. "This is your real education," Maria said. "Not the 6 weeks here, but the lifetime of applying what you learned. Some of you will use these rules every day and do amazing things. Others will forget them and slip back into ordinary life. The choice is yours." Tyler raised his hand. "What if we fail? What if we go home and can't keep doing this?" "Then you fail forward," Maria said. "You learn from it and try again. That's Rule 13. Failure isn't the end, giving up is the end." She stood and walked to the whiteboard one last time. "Let me tell you the real secret about these 15 rules. They're not actually Elon Musk's rules for his children. They're principles that every successful person follows, whether they know it or not." Maria wrote on the board. "The rules aren't about restriction, they're about freedom. When you earn your meals, you're free from entitlement. When you limit screen time, you're free from addiction. When you question everything, you're free from false beliefs. When you work hard, you're free from mediocrity. When you think about humanity, you're free from meaninglessness." She turned to face them. "Your generation is growing up in the hardest time in human history. Climate change, political division, economic uncertainty, technological disruption. You inherited problems you didn't create. That's not fair." The room was completely silent. "But you also have tools no generation ever had. You can learn anything online. You can connect with anyone worldwide. You can build companies from your bedroom. You can solve problems that governments can't solve. The question isn't whether you can make a difference. The question is whether you will. Maya felt the weight of that question settle on her shoulders, not heavy like a burden but solid like purpose. Maria spent the next hour answering questions. Kids asked about staying motivated, handling doubt, dealing with people who didn't understand, balancing work and rest. Balance is the 16th rule, Maria said. The one I didn't teach you formally because you need to discover it yourself. Yes, work hard, but also rest hard. Yes, think about the future, but also enjoy the present. Yes, solve big problems, but also have fun. Life isn't all sacrifice, it's finding the right mix. She looked at Maya specifically. Your father worked too hard without resting. He burned himself out. Don't make that mistake. Honor his memory by working smart, not just working constantly. Maya nodded, understanding. She'd been so focused on finishing her father's project that she'd forgotten to take care of herself. That couldn't become a pattern. At 10 o'clock, parents started arriving. Maya's mother was first, pulling up in their old car. Maya ran out and hugged her so tightly. I missed you so much, Mom. I missed you too, baby, but look at you. You're different, stronger somehow. I learned a lot. I can tell. Her mother held Maya at arm's length, studying her face. Your father would be so incredibly proud. I'm so incredibly proud. They loaded Maya's bag into the car. As other families arrived and started leaving, kids hugged each other goodbye. Phone numbers were exchanged. Promises to stay in touch were made. Tyler approached Maya before she left. Thank you for everything. You changed my life. You changed your own life, Maya said. I just showed up. You did the work. We'll build more tiny homes, right? This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. We've got Tyler's houses to build. Lots of them, Maya smiled. And you're going to help your uncle first. That's the most important one. Tyler nodded, his eyes wet. Yeah, first my uncle, then everyone else. Priya was next, hugging Maya hard. I'll call you every week. We'll work on the Chen system together. Distance means nothing. Distance means nothing, Maya agreed. Even Lucas, who'd been so arrogant on the first day, hugged her. You taught me what actually matters, thank you. You taught yourself. You just needed the right environment. As Maya's mother drove away from the ranch, Maya turned to watch through the back window. The buildings got smaller. The other kids waving became tiny dots. Finally, the ranch disappeared behind a hill. Tell me everything, her mother said. Every detail. Maya talked for the entire 3-hour drive to Austin. She told her mother about the water filtration challenge, the rocket failure and rebuild, meeting Elon Musk, discovering her father's secret workshop, completing the Chen system. Her mother cried and laughed and asked questions. When Maya explained the 15 rules, her mother nodded at each one. Your father lived by those rules, she said. He never called them that, but he followed every single one. Especially the last one about thinking about humanity's future. That's why he worked so hard. He wasn't neglecting us. He was trying to help everyone. I understand that now, Maya said. At the airport, they had 2 hours before their flight to California. They sat in a quiet corner, drinking overpriced smoothies. What happens now? Her mother asked. You finished Dad's project. What's next for you? Maya thought about this. The Chen system needs testing in the field. I want to be part of that. And there's so much more to improve. The design can be simplified. The cost can be lowered. We can add features for different situations. You're going to keep working on it. Of course, finishing the prototype isn't finishing the work. It's just the first step. Maya pulled out her father's notebook. Dad wrote that ideas persist and solutions last, but only if someone keeps pushing them forward. That's my job now. Her mother wiped her eyes. You're 12 years old. You should be worried about school and friends and normal kid things. I can do both. The rules aren't about giving up fun, they're about adding purpose. Maya smiled. I can hang out with friends and work on water systems. I can do well in school and build things that matter. It's not either or, it's both and. On the airplane, Maya pulled out a blank notebook her mother had bought her at the airport gift shop. On the first page, she wrote, "The 15 rules and how I'll live them. Rule 1, keep important work private until it's ready. I'll work on projects without posting about them online. I'll build first, share later. Rule 2, earn everything through effort. I'll do chores without being asked. I'll work for what I want. No entitlement. Rule 3, fail at least 3 times before succeeding. I'll expect failure. I'll learn from it. I won't quit after one attempt. Rule 4, focus on solutions or lessons, not grades. I'll care about learning, not just test scores. I'll measure success by what I can do, not what letter I receive. Rule 5, technology is a tool, not a toy. I'll limit recreational screen time to 1 hour per day. I'll use technology to create, not just consume. Rule 6, read books, not social media. I'll read 1 book per week minimum. Real books with real ideas. Rule 7, ask why 3 times before accepting answers. I'll question assumptions. I'll think from first principles. I'll challenge what everyone knows. Rule 8, don't wait for permission to do important things. If something matters, I'll start working on it now. I'll apologize later if needed, but I won't wait for approval. Rule 9, learn from experts, not just teachers. I'll find the best people in fields I care about. I'll read their work. I'll email them questions. I'll learn directly from excellence. Rule 10, work harder than everyone else. When something important needs doing, I'll put in the hours. I'll work weekends. I'll sacrifice comfort for impact. Rule 11, money is for building, not having. I'll spend money on tools, materials, learning. I'll save and invest. I won't waste money showing off. Rule 12, create more than I consume. I'll track my hours. More creating, less consuming. More building, less scrolling. Rule 13, fail forward, learn and move faster. Every failure teaches something. I'll analyze what went wrong. I'll apply the lesson. I'll try again smarter. Rule 14, respect Earth while reaching for stars. I'll care about the environment. I'll reduce waste. I'll think about sustainability. Earth is our only home right now. Rule 15, think about humanity's future, not just my own. I'll work on problems bigger than myself. I'll build things that help people I'll never meet. I'll care about the species, not just my comfort. Rule 16, balance work and rest. I'll work hard and rest hard. I'll push myself and take care of myself. I'll find the sustainable pace. Maya looked at her list. These rules would guide her life now. Not perfectly, she'd mess up, forget them, slip back into old habits, but she'd have this notebook to remind her. She'd have her team to hold her accountable. She'd have her father's example to inspire her. The plane landed in California at sunset. As they drove home to their small apartment in Hawthorne, Maya looked out at the familiar streets with new eyes. This was still home, but she was different now. She saw possibilities everywhere. That empty lot could become tiny homes. That polluted creek needed a filtration system. That struggling school needed better STEM programs. Problems weren't overwhelming anymore, they were opportunities. At home, their apartment felt smaller than Maya remembered. Her room looked childish with its old posters and toys, but it was still comfortable, still safe, still hers. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about everything ahead. School started in 2 weeks. She'd be back in regular classes with kids who'd spent their summer playing video games and going to the beach. How would she explain where she'd been, what she'd learned, what she'd built? Maybe she wouldn't explain it, maybe she'd just show them. Let her actions speak louder than words. Her phone buzzed. A text from Priya, can't sleep, too much to think about. Maya smiled and responded, same. Everything feels different now. Priya, good different though. We're different people. Tyler joined the group chat. Just told my mom I'm building a tiny home for my uncle in our backyard. She said yes. Lucas, I deleted Instagram, don't need it anymore, got better things to do. Sophie, my dad asked what I learned. I showed him the 15 rules. He started crying, said he needs to follow them too. Hannah, everyone keeps asking if camp was fun. I don't know how to explain it wasn't camp. It was transformation. Maya typed, we don't need to explain it. We just need to live it. Show people through our work, not our words. The group agreed. They talked for another hour, planning their next projects, encouraging each other, promising to stay weird together. Finally, Maya put down her phone and picked up her father's notebook one more time. She turned to the last page where he'd written his final message to her. She'd read it 100 times, but tonight the words hit differently. Every great achievement starts with someone willing to fail. Most people never try because they're afraid of failure, but you're not most people, Maya. You're my daughter, you're brave enough to fail, and that means you're brave enough to succeed. Maya closed the notebook and pressed it to her heart. I did it, Dad. I finished your project. I learned your lessons. I became who you believed I could be. She felt his presence so strongly in that moment, not sad anymore. Not painful, just loving, just proud, just there. And I'm not stopping, Maya whispered to the darkness. This is just the beginning. I'm going to build so many things, help so many people. I'm going to make you proud every single day. Outside her window, she could see the lights of SpaceX in the distance, the same facility where her father had worked, where rockets were being built right now to take humans to Mars someday. That was thinking about humanity's future. That was Rule 15 in action. And Maya was part of it now. Not just through her father's legacy, but through her own work, her own choices, her own commitment to building a better world. She finally fell asleep with a smile on her face, dreaming of clean water and tiny homes and stars, and all the impossible things that would become possible because someone cared enough to try. Tomorrow, she'd wake up and get to work, because the future didn't build itself. The future belonged to people like her father, people like Elon Musk, people like Tyler and Priya and Lucas, and all the kids who'd learned that they were capable of more than they'd ever imagined. The future belonged to people who followed the rules, who worked hard, who thought big, who cared about others, who never stopped building. And Maya Chen was one of those people now. Forever changed, forever building, forever reaching for the impossible. The real work was just beginning. 3 months had passed since Maya returned from the academy. 3 months of regular school, homework, and trying to explain to her classmates why she no longer cared about social media or celebrity gossip. "You're so weird now," her friend Jessica had said last week. "Not mean, just confused. You used to be normal." Maya had smiled. "I'm better than normal now." But maintaining the rules was harder than she'd expected. At the academy, everyone around her was pushing forward, building, creating. At home and school, everyone was just existing, consuming, scrolling, wasting time. Some days, Maya felt like she was swimming upstream while everyone else floated downstream. Today was different, though. Today was presentation day at the International Disaster Relief Conference in San Diego. SpaceX had funded production of 50 Chen systems, and today Maya would present the field test results to experts from around the world. She sat in the back of the conference hall with her mother, wearing a blue dress that felt too fancy and shoes that pinched her feet. On stage, an engineer from UNICEF was presenting water purification methods currently used in refugee camps. Expensive, slow, and require extensive training, the engineer explained. Each unit costs between $2,000 and $5,000. Deployment takes days, and they break down frequently in harsh conditions. Maya's stomach churned with nerves. In 30 minutes, she'd be on that stage, presenting to hundreds of experts who'd spent their entire careers on this problem. Who was she to tell them she had a better solution? She was 12 years old. What did she know? Her phone buzzed. A text from Priya, "You've got this. Remember Rule 7, they might be experts, but that doesn't mean they're right about everything. Your solution works. Trust the data." Another text from Tyler, just finished building tiny home number 3. Your presentation inspired the whole project. Now it's your turn to inspire disaster relief. Make your dad proud. Lucas, stop doubting yourself. You've tested this system 50 times, it works. Now go show them. Maya smiled. Her team was scattered across the country, but they were still together, still supporting each other, still holding each other accountable. Maya Chen, a conference organizer, approached her. You're on in 10 minutes, ready? No, Maya thought, but she said, yes, I'm ready. Backstage, she connected her laptop to the presentation system and tested her slides. Photos of the Chen system in operation, data from field tests in 3 countries, cost comparisons, efficiency metrics, testimonials from relief workers. The facts were on her side. The system worked better than anything currently available, but facts didn't always win. Sometimes emotion and tradition, and this is how we've always done it, won instead. Maria's voice echoed in her head. Question everything 3 times. Don't accept the way things are just because that's what everyone believes. The UNICEF engineer finished his presentation. Applause filled the hall. Then the moderator spoke into the microphone. Our next presenter is unique. She's 12 years old and has built what some are calling a revolutionary approach to emergency water filtration. Please welcome Maya Chen, presenting the Chen water filtration system. Maya walked onto the stage. The lights were bright, blinding almost. She couldn't see the audience clearly, just hundreds of shadowy figures watching her. Her hands shook as she gripped the podium. For a moment, her mind went blank. All her practiced words disappeared. Then she saw her mother in the 3rd row, smiling encouragingly, and she remembered why she was here. My name is Maya Chen, she began. Her voice was quiet, too quiet. She cleared her throat and tried again, louder this time. My name is Maya Chen. 3 months ago, I finished building a water filtration system my father designed before he died. He was a SpaceX engineer who believed that technology developed for space exploration could solve Earth's most pressing problems. She clicked to her first slide, a photo of her father at SpaceX, smiling in front of a Falcon 9 rocket. This is my dad, James Chen. He never got to see his system work, but I'm here to show you what he built, what my team finished, and why it matters. The nervousness faded as she talked about the technical specifications. This part was easy. This was just facts and data, flow rates, filtration effectiveness, cost analysis, durability testing. Current emergency filtration systems cost between $2,000 and $5,000, Maya explained. The Chen system costs $400. Current systems can purify 20 gallons per hour. The Chen system purifies 50 gallons per hour. Current systems require trained technicians. The Chen system can be operated by anyone after a 5-minute tutorial. She showed videos of the system in operation. A refugee camp in Uganda, where 3 Chen systems were providing clean water for 750 people. A flood-affected region in Bangladesh, where relief workers had deployed 5 systems within hours of arriving. A remote village in Guatemala that had never had reliable clean water before. In 3 months of field testing across 7 countries, we've provided clean water to over 15,000 people, Maya said. 0 system failures, 0 cases of waterborne illness from filtered water, 98% user satisfaction rate. The audience murmured. Interest rippled through the crowd. Maya clicked to her next slide, a comparison chart. The current approach to disaster water relief is expensive, slow, and requires extensive infrastructure. The Chen system is cheap, fast, and requires nothing except contaminated water and a power source. We've also developed a solar-powered version that costs $500 and works completely off-grid. She paused, looking out at the shadowy audience. I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too good to be true. A 12-year-old claims to have solved a problem that organizations have spent billions of dollars on. Why should you believe me? Several people laughed, not unkindly. You shouldn't believe me, Maya said. You should believe the data. You should believe the field test results. You should believe the thousands of people who now have clean water because of this system. She clicked to her final slide, her father's quote, "Ideas persist, solutions last. If you build something that helps people, that value never disappears." My father died working on this project. He believed it mattered. He believed that thinking about humanity's future was more important than his own comfort. Maya's voice wavered slightly. I finished his work because he was right. Because 15,000 people needed water. Because millions more still need water. Because this is a solvable problem, and we solved it. She looked directly at where she estimated the front rows were sitting. The Chen system design is open source, free for anyone to use. We're not seeking patents. We're not trying to get rich. We're trying to help people. Any organization here today can access the designs, manufacturing specifications, and training materials at no cost. Maya stepped back from the podium. I'm 12 years old. I'm not an expert in disaster relief. I'm not a professional engineer, but I am someone who saw a problem and built a solution. And that's what my father taught me. Don't wait for someone else to save the world. Start saving it yourself. The applause started slowly, then built. People stood. Within seconds, the entire audience was on their feet, clapping. Maya stood on the stage, overwhelmed. Her mother was crying in the third row. Maya could see her now as her eyes adjusted to the lights. The moderator returned to the stage. We have time for questions. Hands shot up across the auditorium. The moderator pointed to a woman in the second row. Dr. Patricia Morrison, Doctors Without Borders. The woman introduced herself. My question is about scalability. If we wanted to deploy 1,000 of these systems, could you manufacture them quickly enough? Maya had practiced this answer. The limiting factor isn't manufacturing. These are simple systems using widely available parts. The limiting factor is funding and distribution. If organizations commit to purchasing or funding the systems, we can scale production rapidly. SpaceX has offered to help coordinate manufacturing through their supply chain if there's sufficient demand. Another hand. Dr. James Akanjo, WHO. What's the lifespan of the filtration membranes? How often do they need replacement? 6 to 8 months with heavy use. Replacement membranes cost $8 and can be changed in under 5 minutes. We've also trained local technicians in each test region to handle maintenance, creating jobs in the communities we serve. The questions continued for 20 minutes. Technical questions, logistical questions, funding questions. Maya answered each one clearly, drawing on the months of testing and refinement. Finally, a man in the front row raised his hand. He had gray hair and wore an expensive suit. David Chen, no relation, I assume, he said with a slight smile. I'm the director of the Global Water Initiative. My question isn't technical. My question is, why? You're a child. You could be doing normal kid things. Why are you spending your time on this? Maya thought about the 15 rules, about her father, about everything the academy had taught her. Because normal kid things won't matter in 30 years, Maya said honestly. But clean water will still matter. Solving real problems will still matter. Building things that help people will still matter. She paused. My generation is inheriting huge problems. Climate change, resource scarcity, inequality. We can either complain about it or start solving it. I chose solving. And I'm not special. Any kid could do this if they learned the right principles and worked hard enough. David Chen nodded slowly. Well said. The Global Water Initiative would like to fund production of 500 Chen systems. Can your team handle that? Maya's heart stopped. 500 systems, that would provide water for, she did the quick math, over 125,000 people. Yes, she managed to say, we can handle that. More hands shot up. More organizations pledged funding. By the time the questions ended, over 2,000 Chen systems had been committed to by various relief organizations. Backstage, after the presentation, Maya's legs finally gave out. She sat on a chair, shaking. "You did it," her mother said, kneeling beside her. "Baby, you were incredible. I can't believe that just happened." "Believe it. You changed people's minds today. You proved that your father's work matters. You proved that you matter." Representatives from relief organizations surrounded Maya, asking for technical details, exchanging contact information, discussing deployment plans. Her mother helped field the questions, protective but proud. A woman in a UN vest approached. "Maya, I work in Somalia. We have over 300,000 refugees with inadequate water access. If we could deploy 100 of your systems, we could provide clean water for the entire camp. Would you be willing to consult on the deployment?" "Yes," Maya said immediately. "Absolutely yes." Another man from the Red Cross. "We'd like to train our technicians on the Chen system. Could you develop a training program?" "My team can do that. We've already created basic training materials." The conversations continued for an hour. Finally, conference security had to clear the backstage area. Maya and her mother walked out to their rental car, both dazed. "That was the most intense hour of my life," Maya said as they drove back to their hotel. "Welcome to your new life," her mother said. "This is what happens when you build something that matters. The world wants it." That evening, Maya video called her team. Tyler, Priya, Lucas, and Sophie all appeared on screen, eager to hear about the presentation. "We have commitments for over 2,000 systems," Maya told them, "from organizations around the world." The screen erupted in cheers. "That's incredible," Priya said. "Do you know what this means? At 50 gallons per hour, operating 8 hours per day, each system serves about 200 people. 2,000 systems serve 400,000 people." "We need to organize," Lucas said, shifting into planning mode. "Manufacturing coordination, quality control, distribution logistics. This is bigger than us now." "SpaceX is helping with manufacturing," Maya said. "They have experience scaling production. But we need to develop better training materials, maintenance guides, troubleshooting protocols." "I'll handle documentation," Sophie volunteered. "That's what I'm good at." "I'll work on the training videos," Tyler said. "Make them simple enough that anyone can understand." They spent 2 hours planning the scale-up, dividing responsibilities, setting deadlines, creating systems to manage the growth. "This is Rule 12 in action," Priya observed. "We're creating instead of consuming, building instead of scrolling." "And Rule 15, Maya added, "thinking about humanity's future. 400,000 people getting clean water, that's thinking big." After the call ended, Maya lay in the hotel bed, too excited to sleep. She pulled out her father's notebook and added a new entry. "Dad, today I presented your system to the world. They loved it. Over 2,000 units committed. 400,000 plus people will have clean water because of what you started. I wish you could see this. I wish you could know that your work mattered, but maybe you do know. Maybe somehow you see. I hope you're proud. I'm proud to be your daughter. I'm proud to finish what you started. And I promise I won't stop here. This is just the beginning. Love, Maya." She closed the notebook and finally allowed herself to feel the full weight of what had happened. Her father's dream was becoming reality. His late nights, his sacrifices, his vision, it had all led to this moment. And Maya had been the one to bring it to life. Not because she was special, not because she was a genius, but because she'd learned the rules, because she'd worked hard, because she'd refused to quit even when it seemed impossible, because she was James Chen's daughter. And James Chen had taught her that impossible just meant not yet possible. Her phone buzzed one more time. A text from Maria: heard about your presentation. Your father would be so proud, but more importantly, are you proud? Maya smiled and typed back, yes. For the first time in 2 years, I'm proud of myself, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. Maria's response came immediately, good, because what comes next is going to be even harder. Scaling production, managing partnerships, maintaining quality, handling success, these are new challenges. But you've learned the rules. You know how to fail forward, you know how to work hard, you know how to think about the future, you're ready. Maya set down her phone and looked out the hotel window at the San Diego skyline. Somewhere out there, people were going to bed thirsty. Somewhere out there, children were drinking contaminated water. Somewhere out there, mothers were walking miles just to fill a bucket, but not for much longer, because the Chen system was real now. It was scaling. It was spreading. Her father's idea had persisted. His solution was lasting, and the value he'd created would never disappear. Maya closed her eyes and let sleep take her, dreaming of clean water flowing across continents, reaching people her father had never met but had worked so hard to help. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new problems to solve, new rules to follow, new work to do. But tonight, Maya Chen let herself rest, knowing she'd honored her father's memory in the best way possible. By finishing what he started, by building something that mattered, by thinking about humanity's future instead of just her own. The real work was continuing, and Maya was ready. And that was the end of Maya's story. A 12-year-old girl who learned that age doesn't limit impact. That strict rules aren't about restriction, they're about freedom. That finishing her father's dream meant starting her own journey. And that thinking about humanity's future is the greatest gift anyone can give to the world. Maya Chen started with nothing but grief and a mysterious invitation. She ended up providing clean water to 800,000 people and counting, all because she learned 15 rules and had the courage to follow them. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you listening from? Drop your location in the comments below. We love connecting with our global community. If this story inspired you, moved you, or taught you something valuable, please hit that like button. It helps us reach more people who need to hear stories like Maya's. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring, thought-provoking stories about real people making extraordinary differences in the world. We release new content regularly, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. And here's the most important part. Share this video with your friends and family. Maybe someone you know needs to hear that they're capable of more than they think. Maybe someone is grieving and needs hope. Maybe a young person in your life needs to understand that they don't have to wait until they're older to make a difference. Spread the kindness, spread the awareness, spread the message that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they follow the right principles and work hard enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, the future belongs to people who work for it. Now go build something that matters.